Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram. And this is fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 373. Hopefully, you guys have had a great day. I know I have. Tonight, got a great guest with us, Hemp with GG. You want to tell us how you're doing and where they can find you on social media? YouTube, mainly YouTube as well.
Yeah, mainly YouTuber, trying to start up a help channel for beginner growers, kind of like myself. I haven't been growing long, but you can find me on YouTube, Hemp with GG. You can find me on Instagram, Hemp with GG. I'm also a grow leader over on Cocoa for Cannabis. You can find me over there, Hemp with GG as well.
Nice. Cocoa
Yeah.
Cannabis. That's a nice forum they've got going over there. You know, shout out to Dr. MJ Coco. He was on the episode, he was on the show a few episodes back, and we kind of got talking about the Cocoa for Cannabis forum over there. And I actually went over there and signed up and made a few posts. I've kind of been busy. I haven't been back in a bit. But I really appreciate the forum he's got over there because it does remind me a whole lot of the kind of forums that we used to have back when I first started. A lot of stuff like ain't like that where you can journal, actually have a nice journal of your grow and keep things, real serious without a lot of the IG drama and stuff that can, go along with that. But it,
Yeah, we
it
don't
is
get on
definitely
that.
a nice forum for knowledgeable growers that want to take their craft serious. So
Yeah, I originally found them
shout out to
because of
you guys.
the Grow Light calculator. I think that's an amazing tool over there. Because you can also not only use his data that he's typed in and done a par test review on, but I just figured out a few months ago, you can actually enter your own data just by taking it from the manufacturer. So if they say, I'm running 600 watts and we get a 2.1 UTA mole per joule, you can type that in as calculated PPF and actually get an ideal of what the light can cover and what it can yield and what kind of UTA it has. So that's how I found them. And then I got involved in the plant training challenge. I ended up winning one of the prizes in there. So yeah, it's a really fun place and the prizes are great. But that's what kind of inspired me
Yeah,
because I
that
went to Coco for cannabis and they really took me under their wing. And I was like, you know what, I can't really pay them back, financially. I can't give them weed. So I thought, why not try to pass that on and try to keep people from making mistakes I made? Like there's a lot of beginner mistakes. Just having somebody there to answer the questions can save you a lot of problems.
reliable folks to answer the questions. That's kind of key as well. Ugh.
Yeah, that chat room's pretty helpful. In the growing community, I've only been in it about a year, but I find it can be a bit of a pissing contest. People say, there's one way to do it, and it's not like that over at Cocoa for Cannabis. Even if you're not cocoa, you can go in there as soil, and they're like, okay, I'll help you. Or if you have a crackheaded ideal, they're
So
like
what'd you
telling
win?
you why instead of telling you you're stupid.
What'd you win over there? He had a bunch of great product prizes over there for that
Yeah, I won.
contest. What'd you manage to score?
I ended up winning the XX 2000 for best grow me, just kind of like best helpful, kind of go out of their way to help you. But I plugged it in last night. I ended up at some point, I guess, when I boxed it back up, I must have hit one of the LEDs because like 16 of the LEDs are out. So it happens. But I'm really in love with that Medic Fold 8 light. Like it's crazy for the price. I kept thinking there was gonna be something wrong with it, but I can't find anything wrong with it. And it's got to be one of the cheapest per utimoles out there. You're paying like 32 cents per utimole. I mean, you're looking at 589 for a 4x4 light. Like that's a good price. And usually you can't buy these large 5x5 fixtures and dim them down and use them because it's just not cost effective. But with the Fold 8, I feel like it might become the new 4x4 light. The only par reading that really beats that is two SP3000s, and you're going to spend way more than 589. Have you looked at that Medic Fold 8 light yourself?
I have not.
Yeah, they
I have
came out
not.
with
To be honest
they
with
came out with a freaking another one now that has the screen on the front. that tells you like light spectrums and your timer. It'll tell you like you can plug in additional like infrared bars into it, and it'll show you like live light spectrum of how it's adjusting and everything. It's crazy.
That's pretty badass. That sounds like a pretty nice feature.
Heck yeah. But if you use, I don't know if I can tell Doc's code on here, but you get $70 off if you use the CCFC code, which is what makes it that $589. I just didn't want to drop people's codes like in your show without you giving me that head nod.
I don't care if you could save some viewers some money. Go right ahead. It's not like this is the way I feel about that. It's not like I'm promoting it. That's the part that I don't like. I don't want to be like on my end, it's a commercial. But on your end, it's something that you tried and you liked, and it's
Yeah,
your
like
code.
I don't make any money off that code. It's just it makes it really cheap for people, and I think it's a great light. But I'm doing a full 10-part series over on my YouTube on the Fold 8 light, just going over like I did some temperature readings in a 4x4 at 80%, some temperature readings at 100%. I'm actually working on a video, getting some video and pictures of the enclosed drivers. The only issue is they keep changing it. Like at one point they were running 720 drivers, and then they went to 760 drivers. So my data, I have to get somebody else that has a 760. It's a video I'm working on, but it's a lot of questions I get asked, like what do those drivers really look like? Because you can't get to them. Just more videos I'm working on. You running autos or photos yourself?
I run photos myself.
Okay.
Nothing but photos. I've tried some autos back in the past, and I mean way long time ago. And then I tried some like 2 years ago now, and still wasn't nothing I've had luck with. So yeah, I've always stuck with the photos. How about yourself? What do you got going in the tents over there?
I'm usually a photo person all day. Like I've only ever done photos, but Coco Canvas over there talked me into trying some autos. I got some red poison autos, but they ended up flipping to flower 23 days in, so I thought that was a bit weird. Flashing me.
They have a trigger. Certain things trigger on them autos. I've heard the pot size when they hit bottom.
When you top them,
they want to flip. Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of myths to it. I don't think we have enough understanding.
I've heard some people say you can. I don't know. Yeah. Not me anyway.
I don't know. You hear weird things. I heard the other day in another live, this dude was like, I re-vegged an auto. I was like, no, I don't think you can re-veg an auto, but he's dead ass. He thinks he re-vegged an auto, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. That's what I've actually said that myself, that you should be able to. And that would be the time in that first re-vegging process. Try to take them cuts. I don't know. What are you saying? Sir?
I just don't know how you would do it with an auto. Like an auto relies on an internal change to flip the flowers. So I feel like no matter what you do with the lights, there's just no way you can get a full genetic auto to actually re-veg. I just don't see how it'd be possible.
I don't. For me, I don't know what the benefit would be. You know what I mean? To try to re-veg it. It seems like maybe the life cycle would get shorter and shorter, or it just seems like things would get out of balance with that.
100%, I would think. I don't know how. I don't think it's a full auto genetics. I think it has some kind of maybe a rooterel in it, but it has a photo period genetics that's allowing him to re-veg it. I just don't see how you would do that with an auto personally.
Yeah, I'll stick to my photos. Could overlap.
Yeah, I might have to. We'll see. If we're flipping 23 days in, I really don't want a short ass plant like that.
I've heard, I'm not knocking them all together. I've actually seen a lot of growers kill it with some.
Oh yeah,
autos. Yeah,
it's just not me.
Some outdoor grows, some guys up in Canada. Yeah, not me either. And from what I've seen, a lot of there are some people that grow them on like a home level and enjoy them. And again, I'm not saying auto cannabis is inferior in any way, but from what I've seen and heard of people talking, it seems to be they'll be used more for like extracts on a large scale.
I can see that. What I do find even interesting on photos is I feel like as home growers, we see a lot of strains that you won't see in dispensaries because we can grab those 11, 12-week flower photos where, like you're saying, on a large industry, it's kind of more scale-based time. So they're going to do more of those 8 weeks. You don't really see the ones you see as home growers grow, these 11, 12-weekers. Which
It will
I
be
find
the small
interesting.
guys keeping the variety alive.
Don't you hate
Sorry,
when you just had your litter on you and you fucking lose it? Like it was right here and ran away from me.
my bad, my bad. That was,
You know, all us
so
potheads have lost.
we call that a squirrel around here. We call that a squirrel around here. And
Squirrel.
it's like you have the dog that a dog that sees the walking a dog and he kind of sees that squirrel and oh you know that that's the squirrel. They've just
Okay.
lost sight of whatever they're doing, just off
Yeah.
in that direction. Um, so let's start it from where we usually started. When was your first experience with cannabis? Do you mind telling us, talking about a little bit
Like
about that?
smoking cannabis, probably when I was about 20. I got
Yeah,
into
that
cannabis pretty late. A friend of mine said, "Hey, try this," and it was kind of off to the races then. But I really never liked I only been growing for about a year. I only been smoking for about 8 years, but I really didn't like the whole having to meet a stranger on the street. So about a year ago, I tried to grow a bag seed. I'm sure we all know how that went, but I gave up on the bag seed and I went and actually bought a real seed. And I've now successfully harvested 3 yields. My first one was pretty sad, around 4 ounces. My second one was 19 ounces. And the one I just did, which was Rump Muffins by Benny Farms, ended up getting 30 ounces out of a 4x4. So it wasn't too bad. But I really
that's
just
no,
smoked
that's
loud.
commendable, buddy. 30 ounces out of 4x4. Nice job on the third time. Hats off
Yeah,
to you. That was a nice run. That was a nice run.
thanks. Like I said, I have Cocoa for Cannabis to thank for that, for sure. But I just smoke flower. I can't really do the dabs, and the edibles are a little too much because with a joint you can put it down and end it. With an edible, I feel like you're just on the ride if you like it or not.
I feel like that's the same with the alcohol. I mean, too. You know what I mean? People who drink that they're on the ride. Once they've had that drink, they're just on the ride. But the cannabis is
Yeah.
more safer route. You can stop, recoup in about a half hour or whatever.
Hmm. But yeah, I definitely
So
enjoy growing my own.
did your I can't help but wonder, how did your aspect or your opinion on cannabis change? I mean, I often ask, when did recreational, or I should ask that first. Was it, your friend tried it, offered it to you, but when you started to go, did you find it to be more of a recreational use, or did you find that like kind of a medical connection to it at all? You know what I mean? In the beginning,
In the
you know.
beginning, it was as a kid find something for the first time, you go a little overboard. So I definitely say I was a stoner in high school, but I found more ways to, especially now that I'm growing, I found more ways to use cannabis in my life to the point that I'm not couch locked and eating my refrigerator. I found have the right strain, the right sativa, the right time and place. I'm not so much of a pothead anymore. So I had my experience, like I'm sure everybody else did, where weed kind of consumed you, and then you found ways to make weed part of your life. The growing really just inspired a lot of gardening in me. When you get into weed, it isn't just weed. You end up falling in love with all kinds of plants. You're like, ooh, can I top a tomato plant? Can I super crop a cucumber plant? Does that need nitrogen? Is that how it works? And it just kind of takes over from there. So I'd say I went from being a pothead to a casual smoker to now obsessing over growing. It's definitely a spiral that's healthy, I guess.
Well, that's kind of one of the reasons I'm asking, or the angle I'm getting there, because I was gonna ask, did your opinion of the plant change? You know, did it like kind of change? Once
For
you
sure.
started growing it.
As you more understand, the weed ain't just, it gets you high. No, every strain has a certain genetics that helps with certain things in your life. Maybe depressed, or you had a bad day, or maybe you just want to veg out on the couch and you grab that really strong indica and just use it that way. Anxiety, it has definitely changed my mind when I learned more than, it's a pot plant, it gets you high, it's drugs, kind of the whole stimulus of drugs. But yeah, I see the medical benefits.
That's what I hear from a lot of folks, to be honest, from you.
Yeah.
Uh, it's right at that point where it changes from, it could have been recreational before to where I see it now. I see it, that it is more of a medicine. And I don't know why it takes necessarily it pushing out of the dirt to do that. But man, there is something, and I say this a lot as well. Cannabis has its medicinal effects flat out. Using the plant, as a medicine, edible, smoking. There's a lot of forms, creams, you name it. It's
Hmm.
good as a medicine like that, but I almost think it's an even better medicine. Just cultivating. To be honest with you, spending that time in the room, spend some time with your plants, making sure everything's okay. That's honestly one of the most medical parts of the plant. I think that time right there is just very, very
Yeah.
peaceful. Very zen.
It's definitely an interesting statement you make, though, because you're 100% right. Once you start growing, you kind of get your own judgment of what this plant is, what it can do. Until then, you kind of got that stigmatism of drug and high, and you do it just to get high. And not saying we don't abuse it. Not saying, you probably abused it. We've all had our days.
I smoke like a chimney. I smoke like a chimney. I don't know if you call that abusing it, but I guess in that aspect, yeah, I may, I may,
I don't really
I
don't
may.
think I don't think it's abusing if you can continue to live a productive life. You have an income, your bills are paid. You're not like stealing copper out of the house to get a dime bag. You're not abusing it. Your kids are taken care of. There's food in your house. You're doing all right.
It's just it is I think it's at that point as well as it's you've heard a lot of this out as we grown up as well. You'll never amount to nothing with smoking that weed. You've seen the
Mm-hmm.
commercials where you'll amount to
The
nothing.
lettuce.
You'll be a loser. I rarely see that to be true. Most of the go-getters I know are cannabis users for one.
Yeah.
And then it's even weirder is once you start cultivating, it starts really dragging you along and making you a better person as you go. It really, once you
Mm-hmm.
start growing, it goes from smoking it, I want to grow it for whatever reason, and drop that seed. And it's like, okay, now I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to learn how to do it. I want to learn about the plant. And it just keeps going. So it's pretty
Let me ask you, did you
weird.
start with a bag seed and have that same horrible experience? Bag seed in the window in a cup too small?
No, I started from a couple of clones from a buddy who was probably
Man,
his last mistake. Last mistake, because I was actually buying it from him for the longest time, and that kind of coached him into giving me a couple cuts, and it was off and running at that. Off and running at that.
that's
But
awesome when you can have somebody that's right by you, help you out like that. And that's kind of why I made my YouTube. I want to be that person they can kind of come to and have that one-on-one, or I can even direct them to Coco for Cannabis or somewhere's like your channel, so they don't end up stuck in Reddit like I did, ending up with some real elite assholes over there and some information that, if you don't do it my way, you're doing it wrong. Communities like yours and Cocoa for Cannabis and other kind of small communities, even some big ones where people don't really judge you based on your decisions. They more want to help you. Reddit's a dark place, man.
Yeah.
Dark place.
Yeah. I've never been on Reddit. Never been on Reddit.
Yeah, my first grow was
You-
by myself with Reddit, and like I said, it was 4 ounces, and then I found Cocoa for Cannabis, and going from 4 ounces to 19 ounces, I was a kid in a candy shop, and that's what I kind of like about helping people, because I'll get those messages that say, "Hey, look at this plant, like it's doing amazing since I went and read this article, or you gave me that advice," and you kind of get to live through them that first harvest or that first big yield you had. You get to live through them as they experience.
So when did you have that aha moment, to be honest with you, where you were like, man, this is
Well,
awesome.
when I got into Cocoa for Cannabis,
I gotta do.
I'm kind of like you, up all night, up all night, and I was on Cocoa for Cannabis, and I kind of started helping people when nobody else was, in the chat room at the time, because it's early in the morning. It's only about 4 of us, and I got asked a lot of the same questions and everything, and I tried to pass on the stuff that was taught to me. So I was like, let me make a video about topping. When somebody asked a question about topping, I was able to link it to them, and that kind of gave me the spark to be like, hey, maybe I can start my own platform and try to help people as well. I ran across you, I think, in Home Growers live chat.
Oh yeah. Much respect for Jack and Dr. MJ Coco, Brandon Russ,
Yep.
Spartan Grown.
Did you see the episode where
got?
Spartan Grown lit his beard on fire?
No, actually, I didn't. And, but I was thinking about it today. It's funny you bring that up because I actually was thinking about that today when I was in Wild Bill's tobacco shop, and I was looking down at some hemp wick, and I thought about Spartan's beard catching on fire because
Yeah, that was
I've
crazy.
been told that's what he caught it on fire with, was the hemp wick that he lights his stuff with.
Yeah, I ended up taking a screenshot and posting it on my Instagram. At least he got a kick out of it.
What can you do? What can you do, man? Things that happen live on air. Oof. Oof.
Yep. It happens. Yeah, he was lighting something, man. He fucked it up.
That'd be rough. But he cooped well. He's a great guy. He's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to you, Spartan. Taking it so well. Tuck and roll. I call that the tuck and roll right there. Just keep going. No matter what happens, kind of tuck and roll. Get back up.
Yeah, roll with the punches. Oh, I think I found that pesty lighter.
So what are you smoking on over there tonight?
Right now I'm smoking on, I believe this is around muffins, but I have a tendency to just roll a joint, take a few hits, and then forget you rolled it. I think I roll more than I smoke. So I really don't know what this is. It could have been the Runts. It could have been the Grape OG. But the Runts is one of them that I grew, but I obviously still go local here and there to, try different flavors. That's why in this 5x5, I decided to do 6 different flavors. Because no matter how good something is, after a while, you're like just wanting something else on that terpene.
Definitely agree with that. So let's talk about your the grow a little bit. So what did you change from the first one to the second one? I guess what would you think that you was the great, other than finding MJ Coco, of course, but what were some of the changes you made from 1 to 2?
Well, one, everything in the world could have gone wrong. To answer the question in chat, it is hempwithgg, but it's a marijuana product. It's not CBD product or hemp plant. I actually grow CBD plants. But my first grow was done with blorples. That was probably my biggest issue, and I think that's what a lot of first time growers fall into is those blurples, and they try to base it on the old wattage factor, which is kind of hard to base it on now with proton efficiency being different. But I bought those blurples that say 1500 watts, you know, and they're really garbage. If we're speaking honestly, blurples were kind of the first generation of grow lights. So my second grow, I had one TSL and two blurples, and I actually learned how to feed. That was an important one. I followed the Fox Farm. At that point, I had Fox Farm Trio. I followed the Fox Farm Trio chart, and now knowing what EC and ppm is, if you kind of go off the chart, you find out you're feeding like 3 times more than you should. So definitely finding a nutrient chart, getting the right lighting for my tent, that definitely brought me up to that 19 ounces. And at the time, I was in the Grow Training Challenge, so I was kind of forced to learn how to top and how to manifold and mainline. And then in this current grow, I obviously have the Fold 8 light, which made a huge difference. But I also stopped trying to go away from feed. At one point, I thought feed was kind of like the enemy. Like, how can I not feed? You know, you hear about living soil, you hear about how you can top dress and amenities and everything. And I was trying to find ways not to feed. And I think what I did different in this Medic Fold 8 was I actually focused on feed and what each feed did and why are they adding hydrogen peroxide in the feed. And I ended up picking the general hydroponic system, and I followed Dr. MJ Coco's chart. And if you watch my videos back, like from rock muffins, when they were in like week 7 of flower, which about to be harvested, they were the size of the plants that are now in my Fold 8 that are, you know, only 4 weeks and an 11-week flowers. So I'm really excited to see what that yields. But yeah, definitely lights and nutrients was probably my biggest problem. Understanding, I don't want to call it VPD because that sounds a little, I wouldn't say intimidating, but I find new growers really get stuck on that VPD. Like, I got to maintain that VPD, but at least learning the ideal environment. You're not always going to be perfect on that VPD chart, but learning the humidity for veg and what germination's like, and you know, and don't start from 90% humidity and then rip the lid open. It's just so many of those small little tips I learned that really changed everything. But big thing, if I had to say any grower was going to set up anything, I say it's all my friends. I think lighting is like the major thing. You know, you could probably get away with no tent, using some shit ass soil as long as you have some okay nutrients. But the light, I just feel like there's no way around. You got to have a good light. You're trying to imitate the sun.
Well, it's sad to hear that, you know, in the beginning, you kind of got caught up in the Amazon, eBay predators that are out there in the lighting industry as far as wanting to fudge their numbers and say their lights, all that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, they did that when they first came out. I got stacks of LEDs up there from the beginning days, and man, they really tried to do everything they could to make those numbers look impressive. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
nice that they're finally starting to be truthful these days on what's really going on. But back in the day, it was whatever. It was a cash grab in the beginning, I think.
But yeah, they're definitely some sketchy stuff, and I think they kind of preyed on the fact that people were still kind of basing stuff on wattages, because a lot of people would come into the chat or even message me on Instagram and say, well, I don't understand. What do you mean I don't have enough light for my tent? You know, they say it's a 2000-watt light, but really they're meaning like 2000-watt light equal to HID, when really you look at the power draw and plug that in a calculator, you know, it's 100 watts, and their false claim of utimoles. It's just, I hate to see people do that. And I'm trying to make my channel to kind of prevent them from making those same mistakes of buying that cheap light. Because everything I bought for the first grow is, other than an exhaust fan, it's all been boxed up or thrown away. Like, it's just a waste of money. And I like how you call them predators, because I feel like that's what it is, 100%. I don't even know why they're still making blurples, but maybe it's for veggies or something.
Oh, they're waiting for the new first round rec growers. They've still got stock to get rid of.
Yeah.
Sad but true. Sad but true. So I'm glad
Yeah,
there are
lighting.
people like yourselves and uh, others out there that putting out some good information about lights because, like I just stated, we're quickly approaching, hopefully, a whole new round of people growing with recreational quickly coming across the United States. Which I'm
Yeah.
glad. To be honest with you, I'm glad to see it coming, but I wish honestly medical would have swept first. People would have really gotten on board with what the plant can do versus, in my
Hmm.
opinion, more so, a money grab for the direct side of it. But
Yeah.
I think, to be honest with you, it's important that we get people growing as they go state by state before it goes completely wreck, 1 2 3 overnight, and then they say without a vote, we can't grow at home anymore. Yeah, it's wreck, but you can't grow at home anymore. It grows state by state and people start throwing seeds down day by day. I think they'll have much more of a fight when it comes time. Yeah. So I highly encourage anybody to throw some
Yeah.
seeds
100%.
down, get some clones, get yourself
I
growing.
think everybody should grow their own 100%. It's definitely changes your perspective, like you said, but it's also better than meeting, your local street dealer and you don't know what's in it or what it was grown with. It really changes when you know what strain you have, when you can use it, when it's good for sure. And speaking of weirdness that just popped in my head, but I got a new adapter for my microscope about, let's say, 4 days ago. So these plants would be 4 weeks into flower. And I was just testing to see if the adapter worked. And one of my middle plants actually had pink trichomes, which I've never seen. So I thought that was some interesting genetics. And there was a plant right beside her out of the same seed bag. She just had her regular clear trichomes. But I ended up uploading a video on Instagram. So if anybody wants to see that, that's pretty crazy. Have you ever seen pink trichomes 4 weeks in?
Not 4 weeks in, not 4 weeks in. I wonder if they're gonna go full like magenta, kind of like to a nice purple. Purple. I have seen some beautiful purple trichomes,
See,
but
I didn't
I
know they
wonder if they'll
existed. I
go.
thought it was clear, cloudy, and amber, and that was it.
Yeah, it's awesome. What strain are you? What strain is that? That's going
That's
on.
the Gluckies by Barney Farms. I keep wanting to call them Benny Farms for some reason. Barney Farms. But there's I think a total of 6 strains in there. There's two Dosey Dos, two Gluckies, an Acapulco Gold, a Blue Gelato, a Girl Scout cookie, and a Skunk Hero by Ethos, which I gotta say is a really strong genetic. That girl just started stacking immediately. Real tight stacking where almost the leaf is laying on the leaf above it. It was some beautiful stacking. They're about 4.5 weeks in, I think, into flip. A lot of them are 11-week flowers. And like I said, I think it'll be one of my biggest yields, but I find it a little frustrating to figure out kind of what caused it, because I tried different methods all at once, which I guess is kind of a bad idea because I don't know what in the long run increased it, or maybe all of them did. I did some Kyle Bush chiropractic. I did a little bit more stripping than I would usually do, and obviously the new Fold 8 light with the new nutrients, and I'm feeding heavier. So kind of hard to say what actually increased it, but this will definitely be one of my bigger yields.
Congrats, congrats.
What kind of
I'm
training
glad
are
to
you
see
doing
you
for
on
your
that
foot?
steady up curve.
Yeah, right. Up curve.
I'm brutal. I am brutal over here, brother.
Okay. See, that's what I'm
I
trying to
don't
learn
know
is
if you
how to,
want to call
get
it
the 1-2
training
punch.
or just, oh man, these plants are very resilient. Uh, yeah, whatever needs to be done, to be honest with you, and it depends on how, how on track I am, to be honest with you. Lately, it's been a little bit off track. Things have gotten a little bit bigger than they should, and I've had to do some like severe training. But severe training
Mhm.
works. As a lot of people have seen in here. Uh, I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, my plants are sleeping. All right, I'd show them to you, but you can definitely check out my latest video on my YouTube there. If you go like 4 minutes in, you can skip all the me talking and just look at the plants if you want.
These girls right here, this one was at one point this tall, and I kind of bent her over and a little stress trained her because thought that's what she needed or was going to be the best way to hurry up and train her and keep her under control while I made some room for her. But man, I've got a couple of girls back behind that curtain over there that were almost 4.5, 5 foot tall. That I kind of tabletop, I kind of like to call it, and it's just a severe bending. And I'm taking a tall plant, and I took that tall plant and I made it 4 feet across in the initial bend. So I'm actually got one plant taking up this 4x4 over here.
So kind of like a shrog method.
Yeah, it's a scrog without the net.
Really? So you just kind of super cropped her to make her own kind of shrog?
Let's see, I think I've got a little something you could probably see over there with. Let's see here. Let's try this one. See, she's bent over there. But that girl, before I bent her over there, that girl's 4 foot, corner to corner. She takes up that whole space. But she was almost 5 foot there before I bent her over and spread her out. So I just opened her up and put her in there. And now that's what I'm kind of trying to do these days is more get a bigger plant, take my count down, and
yeah.
My yields are about the same, I find. It's just a little bit slower of a process to get going, but once it's going, it seems to work pretty well. Gives me a little bit more room to bank genetics.
Oh, you're playing with genetics, huh? Are you cloning your own stuff here?
Oh yeah. I definitely do a lot of cloning. At one point, I'm usually between 20 and 30 strains. I'm really down to around 16, but I'm usually juggling close to 30 around. And I like to. I was a tester for a lot of breeders. I'm still a tester for breeders for a long time. So I like to keep things in the background and keep some what I call cup moms. I'll let them grow up. Because I'm like you, I like to have my variety. So I'll bring that one out, let her grow up to, something like this. And I'll take an appropriate amount of cuts for, 4 to 8, we'll say, a whole tenth's worth off that girl. No, send that one along. And next time around, when I want that, I'll have enough to fill a tent, and then I just kind of put one of them back for my cup mom, and keep that genetic.
Yeah, I was looking at your tent. That looks pretty intense over there. What size tent is that?
Those are 4x8s behind me, all 4x8s.
It's just interesting how that door opens with the split down the middle. How you can have kind of
together doors. That's the 4K run right there. It all goes all the way through from tent to tent to tent. I kind of break it up there like that. And then it actually heats during winter months. This whole setup heats my house.
So if you're doing clones and taking saplings and keeping some in veg and everything, how are you controlling your light leaks with open tent like that? Or you have a separate kind of vegetation tent? Or are you just flowering all at once?
They go from clones to usually 1 gallons. They get potted up to the 3s. This is right here. Also, right here are staging areas for like veg. this little tent back there is also a nice little veg tent. Back behind that tent, there is also another 8 bank T5 lights in case of overflow. And then there's the 4K unit there. And then back around the corner there, which you could only see part of, there's another set of tents there that are all LED. And then coming back up this wall that you can't see, there's also another line of LED tents there. So,
wow, that's a perpetual grow right there.
Yeah, it's a pretty, yeah, it's a nice perpetual.
You don't mind me asking, how often are you yielding? Every 2 months, every month?
I harvest every month, to be honest with you. So I have 12 harvests a year.
Oh, wow.
And most times I'm pulling down right about 12 plants per month.
You hand trimming all this?
If I have time, I try to hand trim most of it. And
if
I
not,
don't,
what are we
then
doing?
I'm hanging it. You're getting all the goods tonight. I don't even like this. If not,
you
then,
thought you were interviewing me. I'm interviewing you, just picking your brain. Because I'm thinking about a trim bag, but I hear a lot of bad things about it.
Then I cut and hang on this here unit here, which is like a discount drying.
Yeah.
So you could, back before I got a dryer, I used to run basically this type of setup because you can fit 3 of these racks, which, kind of extend up like this and lock into place.
Oh, nice.
And then you can fit 3 of these in a 4x8 tent with some proper ventilation, sucking from the bottom through the top into a filter, which helps dry. But you can, just kind of chop. I like to hang them on the coat hangers, which keeps this clean and keeps things nice and handy. And then, so if I have overflow and I can't hand trim, even if I have to hand trim, that's a decent way to dry. But if I don't have time, then I like to just chop, hang, and then do my dreaded dry hang. I hate to dry trim, but I hate dry.
So have you used a trim bag personally yourself?
No, I haven't. I'm thinking about looking into one.
Yeah, I've been talking with one of the marketing teams over there about testing one for them just to see how they are. But I hear a lot of bad things about them. But when you watch videos, I don't know. I don't feel like you're doing as much damage as you are when you're hand trimming. But I could be wrong. There's several opinions on it.
Chat here. So yeah.
You see me looking up. I'm just looking at the larger TV. I can kind of see your screen better, and I can see the chat. I think I see you look up every now and then as well. You're probably doing the same thing.
Yeah. I try to put my camera so it's not so obvious, but sometimes.
What you gonna do?
So, what do you think? One of the things that you'll change? Let me get this camera back. What do you think? Some of the things that will change from the next grow? What have you learned from this last round that will improve the next one?
Well, when it comes to
am I spoiling an upcoming video?
I would say photo period plants. I needed to do kind of like what you're doing. Try to get my my plant count down, so I'm not having to do so many plants. Sometimes I'm running 8 to 9 plants in a 4x4 and 5 gallons just to get kind of that shrub coverage. So, and when it comes to photos, I kind of need to do what you're doing, more of a beater up 1-2 punch. I've been a little too soft on them, thinking they're gonna like hermaphrodite or something. But when it comes to autos, I don't know yet. I'm still testing them. If they stay a little tiny short plant like they are now, maybe not. Because eventually I would like to take my whole 8x8 room and just do autos. Because the reason I like autos is for the fact of light leaks. I'm sure anybody who grows photos, you kind of go crazy over light leaks after a while. And I like the fact that you can kind of just throw a plant in. If you see a seed online of an auto, you can throw it in the auto and the light cycle don't matter. Just put it on a crate for distance. With photo periods, I kind of feel like if a good strain comes along and all your tints are full, or we don't have a museum like you do, we're kind of stuck with that flavor.
You gotta mix it up, son. You gotta mix it up, son.
And I feel like I'm doing
And
myself
that,
a disjustice if I don't try autos.
well, yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, you should work your way through a progression as a grower, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that about popping seeds in general with you. I used to tell people, because I used to rep for my buddy Sub Cool there. I was lucky enough that he let me, rep for him for a while there. And people would ask about fem seeds, and it wasn't just because he had his own opinion about fem seeds. But I encourage people to pop regular seeds for several reasons. Just better genetics, in my opinion, more of a diversity.
Yep. I feel
Uh,
like with clones, you kind of know what you're gonna get. It either roots or it doesn't. But when you start from seeds, you kind of have that exciting. You really don't know what's gonna happen. And I've seen them come up with 3 starter leaves instead of 2, and I find that stuff interesting. Or one of our members on Cocoa for Cannabis had a nug actually grow out of a leaf junction where the fingers meet. That was weird. I don't feel like you get that with clones. You kind of get your root or you don't. So I can't really pick a mother plant and clone from it because I'm still experimenting. Maybe photos, maybe autos. Just keep playing with different flavors, different strains until you find what best fits with you. And I think that's the same way with training. What I'm saying on YouTube or my videos, maybe that training doesn't fit your grow style or what you're going for. And I don't think there's any wrong way to train or really any wrong way to grow. If it works for you and you're happy with the product, that's great. But if you need help, there's people out there that can kind of tell you maybe something you don't like about your grow. This is how you can fix it. But there's no wrong way to grow. I think anybody can technically grow weed, but can you grow it to your standards or your liking?
right. I think as you learn, you should take in, you shouldn't just go wholeheartedly on something you should hear. You should take in what you think is right for you in steps, phases.
Mm-hmm.
Just go balls crazy with any, that's what I see in a lot of newer growers' mistakes is they watch. There's so many of these shows out, to be honest with you, and they watch, and each one of these shows a tip, a tip, a tip, a tip, and they run
Mm-hmm.
out and try to incorporate every tip at once, thinking that
Yeah.
these are all gold, but they don't necessarily balance out. We'll say all the time.
Mm-hmm. No, they
You
don't. They
only
definitely
should
contradict each other.
implement one at a time.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I try to help my friends, they call me the next day and say, "Hey, I watched this video, and I pulled off all my leaves," and it was like, "Oh no, what the heck?" Or I thought if I fed it a whole cup of feed, it'd be good because this dude over here said you can pour it in raw. And like I tell them, I'm not against them trying things, experiment. That dude had good luck, maybe you will. But like you said, when you're trying to, teach somebody or follow one system and you're throwing other things into the mix, it can really mess things up and then give confusion. Like, this person said this, but that person said that. That's why I think try them all. I did a little more default. Yes, I know that's like a taboo word, especially on Cocoa for Cannabis, but I did a little more default than I usually do. But try it, try it on one
I
plant, see what happens.
It was nice, didn't it? Worked out good for you, didn't it? I'm a heavy defoliator.
Oh,
I,
all right, you're a
I like to
stripper, huh?
strip them right down.
Mm.
Uh, Very beneficial in my book. Very
Now, are
beneficial.
you lollipopping your plants? Like before flip, are you defalling leaves and nodes at the bottom of your plants?
To be honest with you, I can maybe show you back over here. You can maybe see a little bit. I strip them down. Uh, I'll let them grow up so high. You can see maybe in the back there, and can't really see much with through that T5. I thought you could, but let me show you here.
No, you can see how
It's
they kind
something
of got
like
a
this.
long
Okay.
leg that's stripped.
Yeah. These were like let them grow up to where they were like long and scraggly. So I went back through and defoliated, really hard. and left this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which, in my opinion, forces all this out. Now,
Okay.
so basically, in another little bit, you'll have something that looks more like this. You know what I mean? A lot of times, this undergrowth will catch right up, and then I'll have a more bushier plant. You know, I won't have to really lollipop out. Maybe, if anything, either bend this top over and let all that rest of it, kind of push out, or I'll just
Like a
take that
full
top
plant tie
off
down.
and
Yeah.
let the rest of it just explode out into a nice bush. So, and that's something I found with the heavy defoliating is this nice explosion of undergrowth.
Okay.
If you do that, it saves a lot of top, which I think, in my opinion, takes more time in recovery. To be honest with you, I
Okay. See,
have
I'm a big topper.
I have a nice delay time once I go through and defoliate her, nice and hard, a day or two delay, of course, but I think it's less time overall than if I went through and top. Then I've got
Yeah.
multiple days of recovery. So that's just my opinion.
No, 100%. And again, no opinion's wrong. It works for you, and I've tried them all. Like in this grow before flower, I tried to not pull all the leaves on the bottom. Usually, I want to lollipop all the leaves and the nodes up to the section that I want. But in this case, I tried something different. I think some people call it like Kyle Bush method, not the Kyle Bush chiropractor, but the Kyle Bush method, where you're going in whatever you want to lollipop. You're going to go down and take out all the inner shoots. And then if you have a thick enough canopy, it blocks out all those leaves you left. So if you're just taking that elbow inner shoot and leaving those bottom leaves, I noticed because they were not getting light, the plant started like eating them and turning them yellow. So it was kind of like a self lollipop, which kind of comes back to what you were saying with stress and everything. I found it by just cleaning out those nodes, leaving those leaves and letting her just self lollipop and eat herself. I was able to hopefully mitigate stress, but also put some of those leaf nutrients back in her instead of cleaning them out. But it comes back to what you said. You kind of need a plant count to make sure you have full canopy coverage to make sure you can even block those leaves out. So yeah, there's all kinds of methods. That was just one I tried. It worked out pretty well.
There's nothing about, wrong with making that trial and error. That's the beauty of cannabis is, it's a learning experience, and it just every time try something new, learn from it, try something new, learn from it. I'm still, after all these years, still torturing and trying new things. Probably a little more than I should, but I
one of my
noticed these girls are so resilient.
Oh yeah, they're really resilient
about anything.
Oh yes, and like you said, when you tie them down, even the 2-day, I think is you not. I think like 30 minutes after they usually pop up. I think your 2 days is you just being generous, because I've seen them like when you go to do like an LST, you'll come back 30, 40 minutes later and she's already kind of turned and taken shape. So I definitely agree there's less stress tying down than topping. If I ever try a full tie down plan, I'll have to come to you. You can teach me how to spiral her.
It was funny, kind of funny. One of the girl behind me there is a Blue Mile, bred by Bingus 503, another great gentleman, YouTuber, amazing grower. But I kept kind of talking to him while I was bending his lady over. I kept telling it, pulling her down. I thought it was kind of comical. Yeah, he took it pretty. He took it.
Yeah, I've learned they're pretty resilient. You can do whatever you want with them, punch them, kick them, slap them, as long as you're following some rules. Don't chop her down from 20 notes to 1, but you can pretty much make them do what you want. I've learned.
Oh, for sure. I've actually wanted to.
Were you a little
like
hesitant?
To do something silly with them.
What do you want to do silly?
I'm sorry, go ahead. And I know it's probably even gonna fucking sound silly, but if you ever went go into your gardening centers and they've take an implant and just like formed a figure out of it, or like say a heart or something
Yep.
like that, just kind of trained the plant into some form. I think it would be cool as shit to obviously you would be, training more for end carcass. You know what I mean? You'd be getting some flour out of it, but it would be
Yep.
cool to have some, like, just even if it came
Bonsai.
up and if it was simple as a fucking can of, a heart or fucking whatever, it would be fucking cool as fuck to say, that was, I don't know.
That's
I'm corny
interesting.
like that, and
You could
I'm
definitely
somewhat
do
of a
that.
craftsman, so I think something like that would be fucking. Yeah, you could.
All
I
you'd
think it
have to
would
do
be
is just
too
top
easy,
it
and
and bend the two ends in and make your little like inner V. Kind of strip out any nodes that are gonna separate. You could definitely do that. See, I thought you were gonna spit
you
out
could
something
do.
crazy. Nah,
Yeah,
that ain't
I think you
crazy.
could actually get really. I think you could really get creative about it. You know what I
You
mean?
could.
Make a form and actually
Yeah.
bend her into something.
It's
I
a
think
thing.
it
It's
would
like
be
called
neat to see.
bonsai cannabis or something. A dude on Cocoa for Cannabis made he put a seed on top of a rock and put a wet paper towel over it, and the rock was in the pot, obviously. And the root actually traveled underneath the paper towel down into the dirt. And then he kind of slowly introduced oxygen to those roots so they'd harden up. And when he took it off, you could just see like the whole cannabis tap root and everything just wrap around the rock. Yeah, it's a thing. Cannabis bonsai. Definitely some interesting things. So if you do a heart, I'd love to see that. Definitely post that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. It's just a matter of, I think, what I want to form it into. So I think it would be really cool. I think the outside would be the perfect environment to do it, because you have that,
Yeah,
super explosive growth every day. I think you could actually, twist that stalk and get it to crack a little bit
you're talking about
harden,
monster
nice
heart.
and
You ain't even
hard.
talking about bonsai. You're talking about like Christmas tree decorations outside.
Yeah, I wanted, if I'm going to train it, I want it
Mm.
to be, I want it to last. You know what I mean? I want
See,
that
I think
stem to
that'd be a
be
good ideal
nice.
for like a male you're gonna like just take the pollen from, you really don't care as long as you get some pollen sacs. That'd be a good one to do
Yeah,
it.
that would be a good idea. You're right. You're
Because you're
right. I
not
never
wanting
thought
flower,
about
you're just
that.
wanting some pollen. But
Yeah,
we
the
all got
carcass
pothead
basically.
ideals.
Yeah.
Yeah. My pothead ideal lately is seeing the 4x4 is just actually the 5x5 is gonna produce well enough for me. Seeing I just use it as personal. But in the 4x4, I decided I would take the rapid rooter, obviously put it into a nursery bag, which is like a woven cloth. It's kind of like a cloth pot, but larger gaps. But I decided I would just place that right into the 1 gallon because usually I remove it from the cloth pots for transplant. So one of the pothead ideals was to just place it right into the 1 gallon. And then, pothead ideals take over from there. So when I went to transplant from the 1 gallon cloth to the 5 gallon, just place the 1 gallon pot in the 5 gallon. I think it's going to be a failure, but it's one of those things where, it's just a test experiment, see what happens. I think it'll make a great YouTube video kind of showing what happens if you just throw the nursery bag inside the 1 gallon and the 1 gallon inside of a 5 gallon and try to treat it like it's rock wool or something. So yeah, I understand pothead ideals.
Yeah. All you can do is try. Isn't that what we call bro science? Isn't that basically bro science?
Maybe that's taboo words, isn't it?
Not really. I don't mind
Yeah,
the
I'd love
bro
to see a heart.
science
That'd be hot.
aspect of it. I mean, I think, as far as that goes, I think a lot of great inventions were scoffed at until the masses caught on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's no
you never
bad
know.
ideas. No bad.
No bad ideals for sure. Especially like I said, it's just an extra tent, so I'm playing around with it. While I'm playing around with autos, play around with a different ideal. Yeah, if you find me
So how
on
many?
Instagram or YouTube, it all links to each other. I noticed somebody posted my Instagram. I appreciate that.
We just 207. We got some amazing mods in chat. Yeah. for
And
your
he posted to
growing
YouTube. Look
community.
at that. That's amazing. Yeah, I only been on YouTube about, I think this month makes my 5th month. And I have, Mars Hydro wanted me to test lights. I'm testing the Medic light right now. Unit Farm just hit me up about testing lights. It just blew up way quicker than I dreamed of. I really just thought I'll build this channel over a few years. If anybody has questions, I have a great video I can link them to, but it blew up a lot quicker than I ever thought it was going to.
Glad, man. Glad. Yeah, and we got Jack Greenstock in chat right now, growing my fellow home growers. Shout out, Jack. We've been talking about you guys
Yeah.
all night.
Talking about you pyros lighting beards on fire over there.
Yeah, a bunch of good information over there. And that is where I initially spotted you there. Thanking
Yeah.
MJ for giving you some support on getting your fresh YouTube channel going. And,
Yeah. Coco
as
actually gave me
one
a shout out.
YouTuber to another, I thought, man, I wish somebody would have gave me a helping hand back then. So I thought, why not?
Yeah,
Man, I could give this gentleman, see if he
I
wants to come out.
appreciate it.
And luckily,
I definitely appreciate it.
you were nice enough to come hang out, man. I appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you having me. Definitely. No, I found a home grower from Dr. Coco. I've noticed a lot of great people kind of hang out in the circle. They all connect somehow.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
I think Home Grower just came out with a book not too long ago too. So congratulations on him. He's definitely moving up.
That's one thing that I appreciate about the so much information out there right now. It's because it wasn't out there when I was first starting to grow. It was a lot of trial and error. A lot of what I learned in the beginning. You asked about how I got my stuff. Well, I've told this story a lot, man. I was buying from that cat for the longest time, and it was a little bit of his mistake. He was showing me, taking me to his room and wanted to show off a little bit. He wasn't teaching. He wasn't even by any means. He wasn't teaching. I can look at
Yeah.
it. I'm sitting there kind of more or less going, you got over there taking me some notes. And it
Hmm.
was like after a bunch of ribbon, come on, man, give me a cut. Give me a cut, man. Give me a cut. And I think it was more like, here you go. It ain't as easy as you think it is. Okay.
So let's hear it. How was
Made
that
it
first
work.
grow?
It was good, man. I had a nice run the first time.
Really?
Like most
Wow,
people, I think that's
congratulations.
for a lot of people, it wasn't horrible. You know what I mean? Like yourself, it wasn't, you said 19 ounces. It wasn't a fail. I
Well,
would
my
consider
first one
that
was 4
19
ounces.
ounces. Well,
My
even at
second one was
that, even at
19, but
that,
yeah, 4 ounces. The 19 was quite a jump.
even at that, I would say if you started a seed or a plant and finished it and you got something out of it, it was a success.
Yeah. But
You
let me
know,
put that first
I
grow
bet
in
you,
perspective for you. I
even
did a lot of
even with
wrong
that,
things.
I bet you were still like, yes,
Yeah,
yes, this is
yeah,
some of the
for
best
sure.
pot I've ever smoked.
But I feel like most home growers, we set ourselves up for that, amazing. We're gonna have pounds, we're gonna have nugs as big as our head. Yeah, and I also made the mistake of weighing my wet weight. So you know how that disappointment went. But I did a lot of things wrong. I ran temperatures of like 96. I even dried with the fucking lights on with a fan blowing on it. I mean, you name it, I did it wrong. I even did too much LST, which I didn't know it even was that during flowers. So I ended up making all of my nodes like down the stem separate into smaller popcorn larf. And I had a few prize nugs. So yeah, I was excited, but definitely not my proudest moment. So, congratulations, first growth. Hit it out of the park.
I
Way to
wouldn't
go.
say out of the park, but I did well. I did pretty well. It's like most growers, it doesn't come until the second and third runs. That's when your mistakes come. That's when you start getting cocky. You know, first run, you're so cautious. You don't want to fuck it up, man. It's kind of,
Yeah. Did you have all the
and
right
the second
equipment
and
up from the
third
start?
run, you oh hell no.
No, right?
I started with the bare minimum, just work my way up, work my way up, work my way up.
Yep.
That's
One
the
piece of
way,
equipment every ground.
that same fuck yeah, man. That's the way I built my business, my construction business. Same fucking way. I bought it tool by tool, job by job. Man, I made sure I bought a tool with every job I landed. And it was either a tool pertaining to the job I just finished, you know what I mean? That would make the
Mhm.
next round a little bit faster, a little bit easier, or it would be a tool for my next job. It was something like, because I do a
Same
lot of
thing with room.
different things. Yeah, I may be trimming one day, I might be framing the next. So, if my next job was a trim job, I'd try to get something trim related to make that up and coming job a little nicer, a little faster, and every job just boom, boom, boom until I had enough to where I could take on anything I wanted to take on. That's the same way I built my Grover. I
Oh,
started
your growing
out
is
with some
beautiful.
shitty, one of the D12 fat lights you could buy at Home Depot, the plant lights, and I had fucking
Mhm.
an
Yeah.
absurd amount of them together. They grew plants,
Yeah.
but then I slowly took them down. Well, I spread them out and added lights. I still got these. These are still good, and just kept adding. Every grow, every
Yeah,
one
no, you
done,
got
a
an
little bit
amazing
something
grower.
extra.
Amazing.
So, what's the next thing you plan to add to your grow?
Well, I definitely, like I said, if these autos work out, I'd love to just do I have an 8x8 room, but I keep a 5x5 and a 4x4 in there. I'd love to just get rid of the tents altogether. Maybe stop having to army crawl because I hand water. So I'm sure some other people know about the army crawl. And I'm 6'4", so it's not very fun. So I'd like to do a full open grow, get some bigger lights, and just cover a whole 8x8. Just do all autos if it works out. So far, not looking very good being 23 days in and how small they are.
Oh, yeah, I remember the army crawl. That's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, I should have did different genetics so I didn't have the issue of all of them popping at once. But again, I think you learn more from your freaking mistakes than anything else. Even the people I try to help and say, I want to strip it down, I want to strip it down, or I don't want to strip it down, or I don't want to top it. They make those mistakes, or, I don't want to pot up, and then they have slow growth. You can warn them, but sometimes you need to make those mistakes yourself.
So, you only smoke the flower up.
Yeah, you want to hear some horror stories about dabs? I used to play around with dabs, and I used to make them myself, and I had a pressurized tube and everything. And you get comfortable after a while making 200-300 batches, throughout the time of doing it. And I didn't realize there was a candle lit, so when it exhausted out the bottom, there was quite an explosion. I lost my arm hair, my eyebrow hair, burnt my tongue, but that isn't the reason I don't smoke dabs. I don't have no PTSD from it. But dabs just tear up my chest. I feel like my freaking lungs are gonna die. Just flour. I do some edibles here and there, but like I said, I kind of sounds weird, but microdose with edibles just because I'm afraid of that out of control high that you get from it. Why are you over there chiefing on dabs, tearing up your chest?
I do a little bit, a little bit.
Okay.
And it's all good for me. I actually just got a little rig today. Little honey rig there.
Oh, that's cute.
And then,
That's cute.
I've
So what
kind
do you
of
do with
found a
all your
curve
trim
with
and
that.
stuff?
Man, I make my bubble hash with my trim.
Okay, you using
What I
like
do with
a
all my trim.
one of those portable washing machines, or you just working the elbows and shoulders?
I got a machine. I've done it all the way through, but These days,
Okay.
I make enough hash to where I've got a pretty decent setup. I've got a 20 gallon. I just bought this last few months ago. 20-gallon machine that I've adapted, did my own little spin to, got rid of some things, modified it.
Yep, same
That's
thing.
well.
Over time,
That's
figure out what doesn't work, what needs to be improved.
sad that you can
I
spend that
find,
kind of money on a machine and everybody does it. Just it has to be modified right out of the box. For a bubble
yeah,
hash machine, you would think that they would just stop taking it off the market as a tradable washer, smacking a bubble sticker on it.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
for
No,
hash.
you're right.
People do that with cars and motorcycles. There needs to be somebody that's the middleman. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That's taking them out of the box, modifying them the way they should be modified, and then selling them properly as a good machine or something.
Sounds like you got a business idea. Slap a shit talking with eagle on the side of one of those bad boys.
That's what I did to mine. That's what I didn't mind, to be honest with you. First thing,
Okay.
bang, fucking talking shit with Eagle slap on it.
Heck yeah. No, we've done bubble hash, but like old school, fucking ice and work out your shoulders to death. I've done the pollen press where you take keef and rapidly heat the chamber and then cool it. I think they call them what, like cakes or keef cakes or something along those lines.
So what are you doing with it currently if you're not turning it into BHO?
I turned it into butter, but like I said, I kind of just microdose with it. So I end up giving it to friends. Like I have a one friend I gave it to. He lives with his father, and he made some corned beef and potatoes, and he thought it'd be funny. His father's 80 something years old, never smoked weed in his life, so he gave him the potatoes and corned beef or whatever. And this dude ended up in the hospital. He thought he was dying. He couldn't breathe. They ended up releasing him with high blood pressure and a panic attack, but he still won't tell his father. He thought it was going to be one of those moments where, haha, I gave you weed. Don't you feel funny? But no, this 80-something-year-old man that usually sits on a couch watching bingo straight up had a panic attack. Like, I can understand if nobody tells you. Like I told him, he should have told him. And then at least he would have known when he started feeling a little funny what was up. But yeah, he said he'll never tell him to this day. He won't tell him that he fucking drugged him.
It's um,
That's
funny,
evil.
but not funny. It is kind of evil. It is kind
Yeah,
of
this
evil.
fucking dude's on oxygen shit. I'm talking like old dude, don't do shit, sitting on his couch, and all of a sudden the fucking TV's talking to him or something. He's like, I'm dying, like call
It ain't
somebody,
right.
can't fucking breathe. Oh, it's terrible. So yeah, I just turned it into butter and give it to my friends, but maybe not that friend. Not no more. But that's what I kind of tried to
No.
do in this grow was mitigate some of that larfy stuff and just kind of focus on quality over quantity. But like I said, quantity is definitely still going to be there. And these girls, they're crazy big. And if it wasn't all different genetics, I would think, maybe it's the genetics. That's why they're so big. But changing the light and getting a feeding schedule and spending the money on an actual nutrient line, like you said, build as you go. But I started with a basic trio and then started adding boosters and figuring out why people add, that I actually just figured out recently, why people are adding hydrogen peroxide to the water from my research, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's adding some kind of like micro air bubbles, allowing oxygen to the roots. Are you dosing with hydrogen peroxide?
No, I'm not. No, I use a little bit in my cloners to
Okay.
help with keep back bacteria and stuff in there. And I've heard people actually watering with it, but I'd be afraid of it actually being counterproductive with my microbes. To be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I would think because it kills bacteria and your plants live on bacteria, but it's actually in a lot of feeding charts. It's like, 1 milligram per gallon or 1 milliliter per gallon, but it's in there. And I was like, why is it in there? And it kind of makes you go digging and research. And I'm giving it a shot. So far, I've been doing it for about 2 weeks, and I haven't seen any ill effects or anything, or I haven't seen anybody magically praying or anything. There is one back right girl you'll see in all the videos. She's always praying. I don't know if she found like some religion she likes, but she's a prayer.
Just found that sweet spot in the tent, perhaps.
I guess it does. She is in that sweet spot. It seems to be my back right ones. Always seem to be the badasses, but the center one's pretty good. That's the one with the pink trichones. That's just beautiful.
Can't wait to see how it finishes, to be honest with you.
No, me too, for sure. Speaking of finishing, you doing the dark test? I tried to find some data on that, and it's really controversial if dark before harvest does anything.
I've tried it before. I didn't, in my experience, see anything worth doing, to be honest with you. But I'm not saying in it don't do it.
See, the only
You know what I
logistic
mean?
data I found was one dude actually from that harvest, he had different tints, and he kept one in 24, one in 48, and one in 72. I don't know the actual YouTuber, but he sent them out for lab testing, and in every increase of darkness, there was an increase in CBD, THC, and everything else. But I didn't find any other data to back that up. So it's kind of like a one word thing. Kind of like you said, you can't go based on everything you hear on YouTube. But that's the only real kind of scientific data I found on it. I've tried it. There's no visual difference. I would say, if anything, if you do it before, when they need water, if you put them into darkness, it might cure a little on the vine, but overall smell or anything, I don't really see an increase. Like, they can't say it hurts anything though. So if you're doing it, it ain't hurting.
Yeah. I take them as far as that goes. I think I take them far enough as it is anyway. I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot more out of it by trying to
Okay. So that's another
keep
question.
it
What
in
kind
the
of amber are
dark.
you looking at? Some people don't like
Well,
like my
about
buddy, he's growing and he's like, I don't want to have any amber. I want to harvest that clear tricone or cloudy trichones because, it has the most THC and blah, blah, blah. The bro science. What's your opinion on that amber percentage?
I prefer a more ripened bud, to be honest with you. I don't even scope that shit anymore. But if I were to have to scope it, I'd say it'd be on the 25,
Really? You don't scope
25%
it. What are you
easy.
basing
Yeah.
that on?
Hey, I've been doing this a long time, bro. Again, I know how a bud looks the way I like it. I like all the hairs to
Okay.
be, I should go full turn. I like
When it stops shooting
most of your
pistons
hairs to
and
be, they
tightens
and they're
up.
no longer straight. She's pulled back. Hairs are turning
Okay.
already. I don't
No,
want
that's
those hairs to
interesting.
turn after I harvest and they turn orange as they're drying. I want that all that stuff to be
Okay.
pretty on point. I get the most weight out of
That's
it that way.
interesting.
You get more
You're the first
firmer
person to say
buds
you're
on
not
a
reading
larger
trichomes.
yield. It tastes just as good. Might be just a little bit past peak flavor, but still very delicious. But
Okay.
very more on the medicinal side, I think.
No, I hear if you let them go a little more further than regular people would, if you really just let them go to the end, you can also put on a little more weight on
Yeah, a lot of people, actually pull before that swell. There is that, final week
them. Yep.
swell that, things harden
Hmm.
up, get a little fat. People don't realize that. Pull, pull too early,
Get
in my opinion.
impatient. Yep. That kind of
I'm
brings me
not
to the
making it.
question: what are you doing about taking it down in the tent? Are you basing it on that snap? Some people say if you take it to that snap, you've gone too far. You want to look for that string and then try to stabilize it immediately. When are you considering your dry done per se?
I want to see that stem snap for sure.
Okay, so you're a stem snapper. Are you snapping the big ones, or are you just snapping the small kind of side shoot ones?
Oh, I'm random. You gotta test it all just because you can't just go by it one snap. You gotta kind of feel out the whole thing. That's the whole
Okay.
batch, really.
And then you're tossing them in jars. I know there's jars, buckets, turkey bags, sea vaults. I've even seen people curing paper bags.
A little bit of everything, to be honest with you. I've worked my way through jars, buckets,
Okay.
bags. I've tried just it's more than I'm comfortable talking about my grow. This is probably more than I've ever talked about my grow.
Oh boy.
This is
Oh
your
boy.
episode. Now
No, I
I'm
like
my
picking
episode.
people's brains, you know. Not everybody has the same opinions. Like I find it fascinating that you're actually harvesting not on tricon. You know, we kind of all preach, you know, don't go off the breeder, don't go off your eye, read the tricons. You know, this is just information I try to pick from people like you, which I think you're pretty high in the community, along with Home Grower and Dr. Coco. And I try to absorb that from people, then try to say I'm cocky and I know everything.
I'm I'm right there with you. I think that I know what I'm talking about. But I'm first admit that I don't know everything. You know, I think that you can learn. I've always told my kids you should be learning something new every day. Only a fool says he knows about. And as
Yeah.
far as that goes, I don't like to talk about my grow because I don't want to be I'm here every night. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
here every fucking night. So if I were
Yeah.
to
Those
hear
people
trying to
are thick
preach technique and whatever, nobody would fucking tune in. It'd be old news a year ago. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So
But I think
that's
we've made it
why
pretty
I
clear
tend
through the conversation that we agree that, you know, there's many ways and there's no wrong way. In no wrong, in no way am I pushing my opinions or you're pushing your opinions. It's a simple trade of information, and you can say, "Hey, that's kind of interesting." You know, he's not reading track tones. How does that work? And it's just learning. You know, I don't think in any way nobody's gonna think you're trying to push a technique. But I get what you're saying. You're here
that's
every day,
why
and there's trolls every
that's
day.
I've answered a good amount of questions. So
You
I've
have,
answered a
you
good
answered a
amount
lot.
of questions.
Yeah, no, I'm picked your brain. But when it comes to my girl, I'm really just loving the cold late light. You know, it's definitely a great light, and the driver temperature is amazing. You know, if anything, I have any complaint, it's that it gets a little cold. You know, I just coming into spring, I have some cold nights, and sometimes it's nice to rely on that driver heat. And even with the lights running, it's pretty cold. You're hitting temperatures of like 78 to 82 as a hot spot on your drivers. That's pretty impressive.
That's one thing that LEDs have been nice about is actually the way you handle heat in your rooms. You know, LED is that kind of showed us that it's not our biggest enemy, as we've kind of come to know with the HIP runs. You know, back when I was running systems like this, oh, 75, man, get that air conditioner running. You're killing shit, man. Killing your years.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays, with the LEDs, we're like, hey, turn that air conditioner on, man. You let that
Yeah.
girls keep. You want that canopy 85, man. Let things heat up, which is nice again on us because it's a less power draw, less a little bit of worry. We can kind of keep the room a little bit tighter. You know, maybe put in a
Oh
little,
yeah.
you know,
During the winter,
CO2,
I was
something
using
like
some of
that.
the exhaust, you know, just exhausting it right into my hallway, just heating my house with the freaking tent exhaust.
That's one thing that I've seen on the opposite end, though, on some of the people that are actually doing a little bit bigger grow. I noticed that, not that I'm a big grower here, but I noticed it a little bit here as well. That heat that I was used to, that heat and everything. Like I told you at one point, when this still heats my house. It fucking goes through and pushes through, provides good heat, but not as much as it was when it was all HIP units.
Oh my God, yeah, HID responsible for so many fires and grows and of getting caught
But
overall with the electric bill. And that's why people are kind of still stuck on that wattage thing because that HID kind of old rule, what can you get per watt? When it's completely different, you can plug a light in with the same amount of wattage and get a whole different PPFD or UTIMOL or and really proton efficiency. But I do find some people are still stuck on that old school HID watt. You know, I got this kind of watt when really it's a LED. You can't really say I got this kind of watt in there, not in my opinion, at least.
now it's more the growers are trying to struggle that have switched over to keep things warm in the wintertime. they're not, getting rid of that extra heat. They're like, holy shit, we got to get some heat going in here. Bring temps up. They're not necessarily trying to get rid of it anymore. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah. No, I think there was a study. Somebody was talking about it. I think in actually Home Growers Live one day, they were talking about how it's been shown that with LED lights running at, an 83% or 83 Fahrenheit can actually increase certain like potassium uptakes. So it definitely has kind of changed from the whole LED field. I know what you're talking about with the whole, you got to turn on an AC. That was a big thing. I'm definitely
grow
loving
styles
it.
are definitely changing as technology are changing. It's a good thing. That's what I was kind of hinting to earlier is all this knowledge and things that are out now, man, sure does make it so much easier for the newer grower to take off and have good success.
Yeah, if
The
they don't get
recipes
fooled by
out there,
Chinese
plenty of knowledge,
knockoffs.
stuff like that. It's so much easier for people to learn these days.
Yeah. AC Infinity is starting to jump on the bandwagon with this grow shit. First, their controllers were great, and now they're coming out with these like 2200D Mylar freaking walls and shit. I actually bought their 5x5 that opens up completely. It's great for hand watering. I do got to say their controller though, in the manual, they don't tell you, you got to calibrate it after a while. So I put like 5 hydrometers and temperature readers around the probe, and it was like 15% off on humidity, 7 or 8 on temperature. So when you're running a controller and it's reading completely off, it's crazy. But I figured out you can hold the mode and power up button to adjust the temperature, and the mode and power down button to actually adjust the humidity. So anybody who has an AC controller, definitely check it. It may not be calibrated, may not even became calibrated.
I might have to actually add AC to my grow this year.
Really, what you think? And getting a controller?
I don't know. I'm still playing it out. I went through a couple months ago and actually added a bunch more insulation in the grow, above the grow, I should say.
Okay.
I'm feeling it already. It's locking in a little bit extra heat. So,
yeah, AC Infinity's taking off. They're fucking doing nets now too. They know where the money's at. I feel like marijuana really pushed a lot of companies. I don't think if we have marijuana, we'd have these really advanced grow lights. I think it would have got there, but I don't think they're making these lights to grow corn, if you know what I mean.
Oh no. I think it's pushing the industry in a lot of ways, benefit agriculture across the board. Across the board.
Yes, sir. Definitely sped it up. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't get there, but marijuana definitely sped up the light industry. And it's getting cheaper, and I think that's what's pushing the whole HID out of the picture. And I know I hate to say that for HID lovers, but with the price and the efficiency and the power save and everything, it's kind of pushing that HID and old school lighting out. And it used to be able, they protect themselves on something, but I feel like lately they're getting a bit squashed.
Oh, I know it's time to tear down these dinosaurs behind me. I know it's time. Don't get me wrong. It's just the cheap bastard in me that's keeping them up now. They ain't broke. They're still plugging along. They're still doing good.
Oh, they still make beautiful bud.
There is the LED side of things going on that knows things are going on. The change is coming. It's just a matter of waiting for them to go down one by one. It ain't broke, don't fix it kind of attitude, I guess.
No, they still growing beautiful bud for sure. Ain't no way about that. There's still some growers on cocoa for cannabis still growing beautiful bud.
They do grow beautiful bud, but when they go down, they definitely get replaced. That's for sure. I'll probably take those old pictures that are all stickered up there. That's one of the bummers too, man. I've taken them things down Then they take up some room. They just don't like sit on a shelf or anything. They're bulky, man.
Yeah.
The XXLs, you know. I think when I step up and finally get that next grow built, I've got a grow in my mind. I think then we'll make it at some point in not in the grow, but like in the rec or fun side of it that I've got planned out. They'll be just hanging up in there as fixtures. You know what I mean? They won't be.
Yep.
They'll just be lighting up to light up the room, and for memory's sake, maybe like above pool table light, something like that. You know, kind of
Yeah.
retro.
Yep. No, I definitely want to experiment with a bigger room though. But like I said, I don't want to do a 8x8 photo, unless I can set it up kind of like yours, where you got a whole Chinese assembly lab going on there.
It took years to forget this
I
circle, man.
bet.
It took years to forget this little thing.
Yeah, we'll see how
So
those autos turn.
are you running a monocrop or single harvest right now? Or are you trying to run a perpetual?
Eventually, I'd like to run a perpetual with autos, but like I said, I just switched over to autos. I have my 5x5, which is the New Year's Grow Challenge, which is the photo periods. But eventually, I would like to do all autos and run a perpetual. But at this point, my photo periods have like 6 or 7 weeks, and my autos have like 5, which still blow my mind when you look at the difference of like a 7-inch plant and then a full photo period tent, and you're like, there's no way that's gonna finish or be anywhere near equal what those photos are. So I'm still on the fence, but I definitely want to do a perpetual grow, kind of like you, just once a month. But it's definitely an addicting hobby. Just growing for myself, it's starting to add up. You just start labeling jars and putting them in boxes. I kind of enjoy it so much. I grow more than I need, but it's an addiction.
Well, that's another thing about the perpetual. I find that because I am a caregiver. I am responsible for making happen meds for my patients, and I want to make sure they have meds. So, a monthly harvest allows me to make sure that they have fresh meds all the time versus taking the chance
Yeah.
of on a couple of harvests a year. We're out, man. You know, and it's like on a first come first serve basis too with them. You know what I mean? I give
Yeah.
everybody so much for free, but when they out, it's on a first come first serve basis if you need above and beyond. So if that were like a one or two, you know, a harvest a year, well, that would make things difficult for everybody. And it would make things difficult on me, those larger harvests and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Not to mention there's so many fucking limits here in Michigan that make things hard. You know what I mean? As far as
Hmm.
weight and things like that, it's tougher. So perpetual allows me to break things up into a smaller,
Yeah.
more manageable workload for myself instead of stress
And different
times.
kinds
Oh,
of
it's harvest
medication
times.
and
All
different
this kind of
types. Yeah.
This is this is more manageable for a one man team. Yeah, that's really
Yeah, see, I try to have friends over, call them trim parties. Everybody grab a pair of scissors, get busy.
getting too hard headed for that. Too hard headed for that. I've always, even a long time, man. I worked by myself for a long time. On jobs. I just got used to, process. This will hold that. I've known for building jigs. When I'm hanging cabinets, just
Yep,
things that made
been
little
there.
legs. Oh, let's make things. I can do it myself. And same thing
Yep, hanging
applied here,
drywall by
man.
yourself. You're making a prop to hold up the other end to put it on the ceiling. Yep, the little like Jesus cross to hold it. Yeah.
Oh man, I did sheets one time where I did it on a scaffolding and I put it up there, and I had built me a little leg on the opposite end of the scaffolding that was about an inch from the ceiling, so I could slide the sheet up there, and it would like hold that end, but not be quite tight. I
Pinch
could
it
like,
in.
get the one end up, and they go down
Yep.
there. She
Yeah.
did
No,
that
I've been
whole
there
roof
when
like that. It
Vancouver.
was a pain in the ass, but it got done. Look good when
Yeah.
it was
Well, now
done,
they got
man.
tools and shit for that. Because you can like just kick into the ground. It holds it up in like 5 places.
Too easy.
But yeah, like you, grab a
Probably
few.
is something like
You ain't got
that.
nobody. You ain't got nobody. Grab a few pieces
But
of board, put it together.
I'm glad to hear that you're a can-do guy yourself.
Heck yeah. Just can't light a cigarette, I guess.
Cigarettes weren't meant to be smoked. That's why.
Probably. Probably.
Have you tried? They were talking about them the other night. Have you thought about the hemp cigarettes?
A
Switching
hemp
over to
cigarette?
something
What,
like
what
that.
is that? Is it still obtaining nicotine?
No, no nicotine. It's just a hemp replacement there. A lot less of the stuff, but you're kind of weaning yourself off the nicotine as you go. A little bit more,
Hmm.
but I've heard from a lot of people they're a decent replacement and a lot better on their health.
I'll have to look into that, for sure. What do they sell them at like dispensaries?
I think you can get them even at like tobacco shops these days. I know here in Michigan, you can buy hemp
Okay.
all day long. You go in and buy a eighth of hemp. I think it's like
Okay,
$15.
so it's just containing hemp. Okay, so there's no psychoactive or THC product in it. I get you.
Man, it's weird, man. Even in like I said, like the tobacco shops, Wild Bill's here in Michigan, you can buy like CBD hash. CBD hash. They sell all
I
kinds of CBD products in
don't
the
know how they made that
tobacco
one.
shops. I didn't either, but man, if it was like $30 a gram, I was curious, but I wasn't $30 a gram curious.
Okay, so you didn't try it. Okay.
Nah. It sat on the shelf. I did try some of the CBD flour, to be honest with you. It wasn't all that bad. It was not.
See, I've never done CBD products, only THC.
Oh man, CBD has a place, especially if it's good CBD. I
Yeah,
think actually tattoo
for like those
section
old
started doing
guys that you don't want to
CBD.
dose up on fucking edibles. Give them
For
some
headaches,
CBD.
actually, the CBD actually saved my daughter from the anti-anxiety medicines. There, that's
Really,
cool.
just CBD by itself, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Thank goodness. Thank goodness,
Yeah.
because it was a rough road.
Yeah, depression ain't no joke, but it's I think that's what kind of scared a lot of the big industry was how much marijuana can actually replace a lot of the pharmaceuticals. They're talking about using it to get people off opiates, which that's crazy, that's one of the big crises right now. And I think it kind of scares the pharmaceutical because people are going to get off their high blood pressure medication. And there's just so many different benefits to marijuana other than getting high, which goes back to what you said.
That's exactly why I wanted. When I stated earlier, I wish the medical wave would have went first, because I feel that if the medical wave would have came from coast to coast first, then there might have been that huge dent and a bigger fight in the big pharma, to be honest with you. But I honestly, and this might be conspiracy bullshit, think whatever you want. I honestly think the legalization is being pushed harder from big pharma than anybody else, to be honest with you. And you'd think that'd be counterproductive,
Really?
but the quicker they can, yeah, the quicker they can push that, uh, they can shut up or quiet, muffle maybe the medical aspect of it. You know what I mean? And there'd be another plus by that. They get that rec going and muffling the. It could. It's out of the bag. We know it's got medical benefits. So they're not going to quiet. They can muffle it, but by pushing the rec, it gets more and more people. We won the war. We got cannabis. And it pacify a lot of people. But this is also what in my opinion, what will happen as recreation goes boom, 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 and then finally full. Less and less medical cards are being pulled. Right now with more and more medical cards as it's been building over the years, it's been striking more and more interest in research. There's a demand. Look at this. There's a surge in medical. That's where funding is going to come from. We got to get behind this. We got to get, and it's still going to be that wave somewhat. But as recreational goes, across the numbers are going to go, and I'm afraid funding in general may go down as well. And not only that, I'm also afraid it's going to be like a bait and switch. Think about this. I mean, again, if Big Pharma's pushing that recreational, kind of look over here, then they're able to keep pushing that poison on us. And more likely, they're going to sink money into the recreational market. So they'll get to, strike up some new profits there. They'll be able to continue to push their poison. You know what I mean? And they've quieted down the marijuana can save everything. Yeah, that's right.
It's an interesting way of
It's scary. And not only that is once they've got the recreational going, now then they can really go to Congress, use that push that they've had all these years. You know what I mean? With the networking, here's a bunch of money now. Let's make it to where nobody can grow. Let's take away that grow. Now they've got us locked down. They've got us supplying us on the recreational market. They've got us locked down, still taking their pharmaceutical crap because we can no longer provide our own medicines. They won at that point. And I know that sounds like the doomsday scenario, but that's why I would like to see medical make it across first. That to me would have been a victory before the legalization, the party use of cannabis. I'll take it as a victory, but once we get that victory, it's no longer, I think we should rest on our laws that we really need to buckle down and maintain our rights to be able to grow and, push forward.
100% homegrown.
That's why I say get some plants in the ground, man. As it's going across and they're letting us grow, man. We got to band together, get them things in the ground. Have that strength in numbers, man. Because get everybody.
I think everybody should go around for sure.
Take it away. It'd be like trying to take away the guns. They'll be like, "No way, you ain't doing
that."
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject.
No, it's definitely definitely want to keep homegrown. Don't want pharmaceuticals on that.
What do you think of that ultimately cannabis conspiracy theory I've kind of laid out there? I know it's really gloomy, but I mean, what do you think of it all?
It's a little gloomy, but it definitely makes you wonder, especially with your comment, medical should have came across first. And that's kind of taboo to say to people that, say, I want to just have it recreational, it's a flower, but I understand how there should have been like a footstep, let's get some backing, some funding, let's show the medical use instead of just going cash hungry for that taxing, just legalize it everywhere, then try to take control. It's definitely a gloomy plan you put across, but I think it's something that should be recognized. For sure.
We need to keep up the fight until the end, that's for sure.
Yeah, homegrown for sure. Like I said, it's much better than meeting some crazy dealer on the street, not knowing if it was our PRG or whatever, which was interesting. I learned about that a few months ago. You heard about that PRG? It's like steroids or something. Plant steroids.
Make them buzz nice, rock hard.
Yeah. I hear it's like terrible for you.
So some will go for that extra little bit. That's another thing too, that you find that cultivation, it seems like it's a ass backwards curve, but as people head down that road of growing their cannabis, they start, as you talked about, they start wanting to, I want to make my cannabis better, worrying about what's in it. And then it goes from, wanting to have my cannabis is cleaned up. Oh, I can apply all this to my garden, and they start worried about like healthier food would have been there as well.
You know, the organic side though is really interesting. You know, I'm a salt feeder myself, so can't really say
No
I do
shame in
organic.
that. No shame in that.
The
What do you
living
what do
soil,
you,
I
what are you
find it.
feeding?
I'm
Can
just
I ask
feeding
you
like
that? What are you feeding?
a general hydroponic. I just follow Doc's schedule, even though it's a cocoa schedule. I just feed every other water. I'm using a Fox Farm Ocean Forest with a mixture of some Happy Frog. But before that, I was just feeding the Fox Farm Trio, and then I found General Hydroponics, which was just crazy. They really boosted. Like I said, I don't know if they boosted my plant or the Fold 8, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
Let me
there's
roll
nothing
this joint
wrong
real
with it.
quick.
As long as you're happy with your harvest, your meds.
Yeah, as long as you're happy with
There,
it, for sure. I'm still here. I just can't roll a one-handed joint. I haven't mastered that skill yet.
no,
I know some people.
I use the roller, so I'm sorry, Gigi, I didn't mean to cut you off.
There's some people that can roll one-handed though, not me.
You lost your video. I don't know. I'm not sure if you know that.
Yeah, sorry, I had to lay down the phone so I could roll this joint because I'm not a one-handed
Oh, right
roller.
on. You're actually holding the camera? You're a trooper, man.
I use my
Holy
phone for
cow.
everything, even editing videos.
My hand would have been numb by now.
No, I'm freaking millennial. I live on my phone.
Nothing wrong.
But yeah, if I had to say anything about, first time growing, me being fairly new myself, I would definitely say lighting. Some people may agree or disagree, but I think lighting is that really key element piece of equipment. I think if you're putting together a budget, 70% of it should actually go to lighting. You can kind of get by without other things, without an actual intake or control. You can get away with some fans. What would you say personally? I know I keep asking you questions like I'm interviewing you, but what would you say, if there's that one key element that a new grower needs to focus on? Would you say that's a light when it comes to equipment?
Yeah, probably. Because, I agree with you on that because it's going to be your long term investment. You could struggle with a lesser light and try to figure out what you're doing wrong. But I think that's a good
Yeah,
start.
dehumidifiers. I learned my lesson on that. I bought a bunch of cheap dehumidifiers and realized that's not something you want to go cheap on.
It's like I said, that was the opposite way I started. It was just harder to get a light back then
Oh, I'm
because
sure.
mainly I wasn't supposed to be doing it for one. But I wish that's where I probably if I could have started there with a nice light, I could see how that would have been more crucial. But would be a good start, good advice, good stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to test out some of that new Medic Grow Fold 8 light. Like I said, but that's or the new Medic light. I think they call it the X Spectrum or something. But that's the first one I ever seen. They put a screen on the front. It like has its own built-in timer and freaking like I said, live light spectrum, which I've never seen on any light. And then they made it so you can plug little like infrared lights into the side of it and shit.
So where do you fall on? I mean, we've talked about cheap lights, expensive lights. I mean, when we talk about light, I mean, where on the budget scale are you talking? Are you suggesting they go more for the high end, or is
Well,
there
I think that comes
start with a good
back
budget,
down
move your way
to
up?
the budget. Yeah, it's 100% the budget. My buddy went out and bought a an 8x8 tent, and I'm trying to go over, par maps with him and Udemy and everything. And he's like, well, I can't afford it. I think you need to buy the not only the space, but you need to buy the light that you can afford to cover that space. So, you may want to grow 20 plants from the rip, but maybe you can only afford a TS1000 for a 2x2 space. You can start off with one plant, like you said, add as you go. I think you do yourself a displeasure by trying to, I would say, beat the Udemy rule in the par maps by saying, I'm going to buy an 8x8 like he did. And, he had one good light, and the rest were blurples. So I think it really comes down to your budget. I'm not saying go out and buy a Medic Fold 8 light because, it's the best Udemy per cost right now. You could start with a TSL and a 2x2. But like you said, get a seed in the ground. If it's in a 1x1, a 2x2, under a blurple, whatever you can start with.
Started a good conversation about what to start with in chat there.
Oh boy. What are the opinions here? Let's see.
For genetics and environment, they say.
Yeah, but I feel like you could take a bunch of bag seeds and throw 50 in there and just kind of pick out your females and hope for no hermaphrodites. There's no runaround or trick to fix a light, but definitely there's always that battle, genetics over, light. Some people say genetics is that number one thing, which I understand. I get it. More stable genetics, more proven yield, proven plant. You can see the battle.
With the experience, you can master your environment. Shitty environments, you can make it work. Learn how to tweak your environment.
Yeah, you can definitely learn how to tweak your environment. Like I said, I had one, I think it was like a T4 carbon filter, and that was it. I used fans for intakes and a bunch of pothead ideals, like attaching styrofoam to the top of my dehumidifier and running a 4-inch ducking hose into one of my side holes to get lower humidity. I don't think there's any tricks to really make a light perform better than it's going to perform. But genetics for sure. I started out with one bag seed in a window and a solo cup, and it stretched pretty bad, and it ended up hermaphroditing. It was an ugly first grow, but definitely didn't give up. Just get it right. So I agree with genetics for sure. Not a wrong answer in any way.
I think for the most part, there's a lot of good genetics out there. I mean, who's putting out shit these days or trying to put out shit?
You see that etho like lifetime pass or something? You pay $1,000, you get a lifetime membership. They send you a bunch of seeds every month for the rest of your life. I missed out on it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I know a fellow that jumped in on that in the early stages.
No, yeah, it's called like etho multipass or something. Somebody said first is genetics, then you need to learn how to grow. Third is your equipment. Well, those are all key factors. They definitely play all parts in it. Same with what 420 said. Save for your grow. Kind of put away a budget for a 2x2 instead of trying to start off with a energy saving light bulb with some aluminum foil walls. Seen some crazy stuff out there.
Tried it all. I've had underneath my work cabinets, I've actually had set those up for little bench areas with tinfoil and shit like that. Shit, man, that's still right there. Man. Thermal blankets. Thermal blankets are fucking cheap and cover ground and they're very reflective. That's what 5x70 sheet right there. That reflective material you can get for like 50 cents. Shit, you can order probably 30 of them on eBay for less than $30. Like, take you.
Yeah, there's always little things that help out. I have a whole kind of a junk drawer where it's like, oh, I could probably use that to hold up a fan or clip pipe together, or use this to hold in my wall. I'm sure you got a bit of a junk drawer for all your gadgets?
I think that a lot of growers are, make things work. They're
Yep.
can do people. I can make that. It's just one of those progressions as you grow. You're like, oh, there's a space right there. I think I can rig that up with like something.
Yep.
Something
And
there
what I
to
find a gap is what I have to really rig a lot, and I find a lot of other growers rig is canopy fans. Like the clip-on fans, I haven't found any personally myself that are strong enough to really do anything unless you're running like 6 of them. And then you have the desk fans, which we rig up and hang upside down with pull straps and plant training wire. Or there's the hurricanes, which are really nice, but then you kind of got to put a hole in your wall to even hang it, or you got to, again, hang it upside down. I feel like there's a gap in the canopy fan area. I hate to, interview you some more, but what are you using for canopy fans?
nothing at the moment. I don't use a
Nothing,
canopy
huh?
fan in this setup. No, no.
So what, you just have an intake and outtake, and what are you using to kind of move the air over the canopy and remove that light from the heat from underneath the light? Look at you smiling. You got some master plan over there. You better share it.
It blows through the bottom. There's they're all interconnected. To be honest with you, much like this. There's a fan that goes from 10 to 10. It'll suck in cooler from this end. Goes through 10 to 10. Kind of curves around there. Goes through these. There's actually the hot air out of these gets sucked out of these and vented either into the house or through the roof. And then there's cool air that comes in from the top right there to all the tents and
Freaking
kind of
HVAC
trickles
system
down
set up
some
over there.
draws in some cool fresh air and kind of lets it cool off the tents. So there is
Mm-hmm.
kind of a nothing that blows straight across the top. There's definitely much air exchange going on here. Shit, there's been times where there's been so much air exchange in this room that people has actually seen that bag swaying in the background as I talk. Like that bag's moving.
Wow.
That's good.
Oh, that's awesome. Again, just another way to handle it. That is a different outside point of view than what I'm used to. But I feel like for the people that do use canopy fans, there's definitely a gap in the market there, especially for those cheap ass clip on fans. For a while, I've seen a bunch of pictures, people having fires. I forget what brand it was, but some kind of clip on fan. I was like, every week somebody was having a fucking fire with it.
Oh man, don't get me wrong. My last setup did have I ran canopy fans, but they were just regular fans, oscillating fans. They weren't grow fans. I just kind of rigged them up.
Yep, like a desk
I'm a
fan, just
rigger
flip it
myself.
upside down, let it oscillate. Yep.
Exactly. But I
Yeah.
encourage that because it keeps it's a good IPM. It keeps bugs from flying around, and it discourages bugs from flying around. I find that it actually adds a little bit of stress to that canopy, which helps it a little bit with the turf productions. But
Yeah, I beat
again,
them up a little bit, stiffening them up.
it's tougher to run something like that in a tent. More easier to room, but not so easily in a tent, man. I try to jam pack these things in there. There's been times where
Okay.
things are so tight in these tents, there's just no room for fans.
Hey, that's what you want, a full tent. You're paying for that light to cover that full tent. Use all of it. Wasted light to the floor is light you lost. Same thing I noticed with running your tents open. I used to do that a lot, just run my tents open so I could walk by and look at them. And I forget who it was in the community, but they're like, hey, you don't want to run your tents open, you're gonna lose that reflective. But I do like the look of it. I'm with you on it. Like I want to look at my babies.
I don't get the reflectability. I give two shits about. I would rather have the fresh air shit. I'm allowing more CO2 pass through them tents. It's
True.
helping me with
True.
temperature. there's more to be gained in more air exchange than the reflectivity of it all. In my opinion, I'm not losing that much.
Okay, you obviously don't care about smell. You got that crap open. It's a pretty big room you're in now.
There's plenty of filtration going on here. There's a filter over in that corner that's as tall as them tents. The LED
Feel like
tents.
running one in my living room
little
sometimes.
can
That's
filters in there. Still sometimes we still be smelled here, time to time. Time to
Okay.
time.
I like opening that tent in the morning and just getting a whiff of it, especially with like 6 different strands in there. It's just a crazy mixture of aromas. My Acapulco Gold, I actually squished with a soil bag when it was like 2 weeks old. Didn't have any grafting tape. I wrapped some fucking duct tape around her and she acted like nothing happened. I'm not sure what the side effects of letting your plant absorb chemical duct tape is, but she snapped back.
So, what has been your favorite strain that you've ran so far?
I gotta say pineapple. I really thought it was gonna be the rock muffins because of the color and everything, but that pineapple was interesting in its curing process. You know, when I first took it down from dry, we all kind of want to take a sample. I took a sample of it. It had me paranoid as heck. I usually don't get paranoid. I was lighting incense and I was getting pretty paranoid. And then as it aged, it just took on this crazy skunky profile as it got into like that 35, 40-day age plus. So I'm gonna say so far out of the strands I've done, Pineapple Express has been my favorite. One of my least favorites. And it's gonna be a little it might be, grower's problem, but little controversy. But Blue Gelato, it smells great, it's alive now. I got it alive. But even when I first germinated her, she just came up with super skinny stem. So, I got rid of her. I usually have 100% germination rate, good success rate. Got rid of her, planted another seed of her, and she still came up with just that really tiny stem. I ended up just burying it and propping her up, and she came back. But Blue Gelato has been the aggravating strain of mine. I'm sure we all have them. She just doesn't like me. She stretched the worst out of all of them. She was the first one, to say, I'm toxic, just back off a little bit. I can't handle that feed. She was the first one to be picky on that. Blue Gelato, I know it's probably controversial because a lot of people like that one. But she was my nightmare. She's still my nightmare. She still wants different feeds than everybody else. So yeah, Pineapple Express would be
your
my
best
thing.
yielder?
Best yielder was the rump muffin, but I don't think that really I don't think that came down to per se the genetics that made my yield. I think overall even my gram per utomol went up. So that's kind of how I judge my yield, just based on gram per utomol. And my gram per utomol best yield was that rump muffin. But I think that was more just skill going upwards. I got the 6 strains in the 5x5, and they're all doing good. So I can't really say it's genetics that's making that yield, but me growing as a grower has increased my yield overall. So it's kind of hard for me to prejudge genetics. It's kind of hard for me to prejudge Blue Gelato because I'm sure I was doing something wrong with her. But I'd like to play with autos. I could get autos to work, man. That'd be awesome because I love the idea of just kind of plop in place, All right, it's a good seed online. Let me go buy that seed, plop place, let it grow. Same light cycle, same tent, same environment. I just wish I could get it under control. I think I should have just picked a longer auto. I was too enticed by the whole, let me get an 8-week auto, get a quick yield. But I think I should have gone with something that could have edged a little longer. Maybe, like you said, I stressed it into flower. I'm going to try, though. Keep trying autos. Don't give up on your failures.
I'll probably stick to my photos, to be honest with you.
Hey, there was a little hesitation there. I heard it.
No hesitation. The hesitation was what I was gonna say next, because it's flat out and the cheapness of me. because I feel like as good as the autos I feel it could be or whatever, it's still a trap. Still a trap. What you're constantly buying again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're in,
Yeah.
in a trap of having to buy seed. You know, I like the sustainability of the photo. I like to be able to, the possibility of finding that one strain, that
Mm-hmm.
pheno that works for me, and being able to keep it for the rest of my life. Unless I, having a power outage and fuck it up somehow, or I can
Yeah.
keep that one forever. With the auto, I'm buying. I'm back to the. Might as well be taking pharmaceuticals, man. Buying them hooked on that
Yeah.
system. You know what I mean? Because you
But even
locked
with the
in with
photos,
that
I really
breeder.
haven't found that
What happens?
one that works.
What happens to that breeder if you can't get it no more? You know what I mean? Something goes
Mm-hmm.
down. Now your favorite strain's lost forever. Wow.
No, I
So
understand your point, but I think I'm still searching. Even if it was photos I stuck with, there'd be no one thing I would say I want a mother right now. I just want to keep trying new things, different flavors.
Definitely agree with that as well. I definitely agree with that as well. But again, with that in mind, when I do find her, I want to be able to keep her.
Yeah, the keeper. No, I
I don't want
understand.
I don't want it to hunt to be for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, be
yeah.
the one that got away at that point.
No, I understand that. You're 100% right on that one. Because you're fucked. She gone. Ain't getting her back.
I've refed Spuds before several times. Come back, baby. Come back. Come back. You gotta have one last chance. She's worked. It's worked several
Oh
times.
yeah. Well, somebody in chat
Oh,
said you made a good point. Well, they're saying keeping the mother outweighs the cost of the seeds.
you could always make more seeds too.
Yeah, what
That's
do you spray it with? Silver core or silver something or other?
there's several ways to reverse it, or you can just make your own. Start fresh with find that male, make your own seeds fresh as well. Several possibilities of keeping her back in her all. Smoking on some of this Godiva is what I'm smoking on, and a little bit of hash that I got from Alex Hardy. As I happen to look up, and it's labeled Wet Dream. Yeah, Wet Dream from
Got some hash.
19,
That's what's up.
2019.
Woo.
Harvest from 2019.
Yeah, they're saying you gotta kind of like age hash after you make it, let it dry out, and age before you smoke it.
Yeah,
Just-
it never happens here.
I don't know if it's like a fine wine, you pull out a vintage 87 or something.
Yeah, never happened. I appreciate it for the moment. It's here and gone.
Yeah,
In that aspect, it's here and gone. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, where's my?
do
This
love
is
me some
actually
hash.
from my last run. Oh man, this thing was full from the last run. I mean, bubble hash. This whole jar here was full. I was like, well,
Woo.
I got that much left in it. It's
Yummy,
just sits right
yummy.
here, Brad. I'm throwing it. I throw it in everything. There's hash in everything. Careful if I pass you a joint because it's always got hash. Almost
Somebody said
always.
they cover it with plastic for the first 3 weeks or 6 weeks.
Hash?
Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about. Stony Creek said covered with plastic for first 6 weeks.
Shout out to you guys, you long cure guys. I had that same thing conversation many a times with the about the long cure with flour. You know, it gets so much better in time. Sure it does. Sure it does.
Yeah.
Not
Like I said,
having
my
any of
pineapple changed flavors over time. It started out real kind of pineapple fruity, paranoid eyed, a nice, kind of somewhat harsh diesel eye.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. It's just not happening here. It's not happening. Just don't have. I guess I don't have the patience. And again, you know, it kind of boils down to the legality of it here as well. You know, being a caregiver, I'm always afraid to store
Misstep.
too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think here their law is you can have up to 3 ounces on your person and 5 pounds stored securely at home. So that's a lot of weight for somebody to store at home. Like I said, I
Reading
don't
chat
really do
there.
anything. I give some to my friends and stuff, but I grow way more than I need just because I'm addicted to growing different flavors, different strains. So I'm able to age them a little longer.
Yeah, and you know, I'm pretty fair with it. I try to make sure my patients are maxed out, have as much as they can possibly have, and you know, be happy. But this is I talk about this a lot, and I think it is so messed up. Is here on the medical side because I am allowed both, but they can't be in the same area. No, I'm allowed my 12 rec plants, but they're not allowed in my medical grow. They have to be in a different area.
Mm-hmm.
But every house here in Michigan can have 12. As a medical grower, I can have X amount of plants per patient, and I'm only allowed X amount of weight. So everybody needs to have their X amount, so I can have their X amount on backup
Mm-hmm.
for them. Basically, that's one of the reasons for the perpetual to kind of keep things as balanced as it can be.
Keep things
And
out, moving and going.
but this is where the messed up side of it comes from. That here in Michigan, you can go over to your rec side, and anything on your rec side you were able to produce, you're entitled to. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
If you're
get it.
able to produce whatever, how is that fair? You know what I mean? That's you know, you could have if you could produce with those 12 plants, you know, just out of hypothetical you know, blown up numbers, if you could produce 50 pounds over there, it'd be legal for you to possess it in the rec area. But don't you take that, you know, don't you even think about that kind of thing with your medical. You know what I'm saying? Shame, shame, shame if you're trying to use it for medicine like that. But if you want to recreational use it, you can smoke yourself. So that's, in my opinion,
No,
crazy,
makes logic.
crazy. I just, I never got that, but that's the way it works.
But yeah, I find myself smoking a lot of joints too. I don't really smoke bowls or bongs. Just a flower joint guy. I just seen you spark up something.
Oh yeah, flour joint with that hash in there. I
Got
like
that
that
hash in there.
flour. You know, I even tried to go. You know, I did get that new rig today, but you know, and I do dab more than I have. I kind of peaked out there at one point throughout the last year where I was taking a lot of dabs, but it didn't last as long as I thought. Man, it quickly faded back into the flour. I've got concentrates here. I could be dabbing, but it's only like a now and again thing for me. I
Yeah,
don't like
the
dabbing
right
all the
time,
time.
right place, 100%.
Convenience.
And
Convenience over
dabs hurt my
everything.
lungs.
Get it. And that's another thing. I think the dabs. Do you find the dabs just don't last? I mean, you get that peak high. You might get a high intense
Yep.
for a few minutes, but it doesn't last as long as a flower.
Yeah, and I
So
found then when you go to get high on flour, you really don't get any of the effects because you've kind of overdosed yourself on those high levels of THC. At
I've
least in
actually
my
had
effect, I
bit.
found when I was addicted to dabs. I shouldn't say addicted. When I was doing dabs a lot, I found that when I went to smoke flower, you really didn't get that same effect.
There's been times where I've been so intensely buzzed from the dab that I've had to smoke a flower to come back down, level out.
Okay.
Makes any sense? But it
Mm.
works for me.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Those some strong dabs.
So, do you think you'll ever? Speaking of dabs, do you think you'll ever get back to dabbing more rosin or just a different
No,
material?
I
I mean,
think if
rosin
anything, I
is.
get into kind of the hash ideal. I like the ideal of taking your excess leftover products and turning it into hash, and then just do what you're doing. Kind of, I'm sure you what snake kind of made a snake out of it, threw it in the middle of the joint, rolled it up. No, I don't think I'll get back into dabs. I kind of just enjoy the process of the flower, addicted to the whole breaking it up and rolling it. It's the whole entire process of it.
I hear that a lot as well. That statement right there. I've heard people
Yeah.
even saying that's why they don't trim as much as they should or like to, and they feel that the actual leaf on there kind of preserves a little bit. And I've even heard of it as
Okay.
referred to as like opening a Christmas present, unwrapping a Christmas present. Isn't that bad?
Oh, it is pretty when you start trimming back some of them sugar leaves, open that prize up in the middle. 100%. I've been looking at them trim trays where it like catches all your keef for you and everything. I found that was pretty interesting. Always nice to sprinkle some keef on your joints.
Yeah, that makes good temple ball material as well.
Making what out of it? You're making balls.
Yeah, temple balls out of what you kept that keeps that. That's usually what I do with that type of material. Sift it out, clean it up just a little bit, press it into a temple ball. The old Frenchy method there with the wine file.
Okay.
That's as
Yeah.
close as I'll ever get to a long-term storage. Is the old good old temple ball. Make a nice size temple ball. Just kind of
Put it on a shelf.
down daily. Not even put it on the shelf. Just take it with the grater down day by day. Just like the jar sitting right here. I think my biggest temple ball has been 56 grams.
Ooh.
56 gram temple ball. It just sat right, just sat here, just like the jar, sat right here next to me with heck, I got my little, it's a little microplane right up there. Sat right here. When I roll a joint, I just take it. Shh, it's like a fine cheese. Put a little bit
Mm.
in that roller, sprinkle that, temple ball cheese in there, and then fucking put a little bit more
Yeah.
on there. Just fucking
Spice it
good
up.
joints
Heck
right
yeah. No, that sounds awesome. Sounds yummy.
there. I've also
But yeah,
taken
if I had to get into anything.
that material, and it's good wrap material uh, to make a hash wrap. You can the same principle when you're making your temple ball, uh, Frenchie's method there. You know, he tells you to take your material, put it in the bag, take your hot water bottle, press it out, take
Yep.
that, you put that in the freezer, snap it, and then just like a dough, you fold it back in on itself,
I've seen that.
wind back out again. But instead of, after at some point he'll take that in, folded it in on itself when he's got it all to a blended constant color. At least that's my process. Once I can see
Uh-huh.
like that, I call it like the brindle. You know what I mean? You can see that like light and dark kind of become a solid color.
Oh yeah.
That's when I'll ball it up. But once I
Mhm.
find this is my trick here. Uh, I get it to that point where it's nice of one color and I've got it right to where I couldn't temple ball it. I'll throw that
Yep.
bad boy in the freezer. It's usually a nice, you know, decent size, whatever the plastic baggie is, six by six usually, and then so you throw that in the freezer and then you go chop up a nice material, nice whatever. Get that ready, pull that wrap out just like you would, still frozen, pull that bag out, pull that sheet out, dump your material in there quickly, just like a cigar, and use that hash wrap just like a blunt wrap and smoke that.
Okay. That's got to be tasty.
That thing will burn for hours,
Mm,
hours, and it is so delicious, so delicious.
that does sound
You really
delicious.
suggest kind of taking a little piece of. I'm, I think, I think it's a good method. Somebody else would probably think of something better, but a little piece of tinfoil around the end there, where you usually pass it, because it's gonna get a little gooey if you don't. So put a little tinfoil tip on there to help fucking that pass.
Yeah,
It
no,
works. It works.
that sounds interesting. Like some all natural fucking wraps, as natural as it gets. See some people use actual the leaf of the plant too to make like wraps out of them. I found that interesting. Now I think they sell like packing tubes or some kind of shit you can put the leaf in to make it a wrap. They're making wraps out of
Midnight
everything.
Roots, another guest, makes his hemp wrap like that, that you can stuff. It's pretty much a hemp wrap. Canagar, Canagar is what they call it. You can buy it
Hey, it's
vanilla, they're
interesting.
stuffed or tubes. Yeah, it's real
I'd like to
neat.
try it sometime.
Gentleman on the other night, I'm sorry in advance for not remembering exactly who it is right off the top of my head, but was rolling his with a fresh tobacco leaf that he was growing in his garden. He was basically ripping off that fresh leaf and then rolling it
I
in
think I
there.
actually
And
watched one of your guests that had tobacco growing in his tent. That might have been him.
yeah, great idea. Then he put it in the tin foil and kind of let it sit for a day or two and dry out naturally like that. I thought that was pretty
No,
cool.
that's a genius. Yeah, if you're gonna smoke a tobacco wrap, might as well be something you grew and dried yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Jean Carlos Canagars. Thank you, Warlock. That's the rap there. The Carlos. Love the chat. Love the chat. Shout out to Warlock.
Speaking of weird
So
tricks, you heard about that crap where you supposedly you can take a plane of glass and as you're trimming, you take your fingers and press them on that glass and it transfers the resin and everything from your gloves onto the glass and it's almost like an extra scissor hash. I found out after I just harvested, but I found that to be a very interesting technique. I don't know if it works.
no, I have not tried that. No, so don't usually mess with the finger, the glove hash. To be honest with you, I never went that far. I'm pretty pretty thrifty with what I say. That's for damn sure. But I don't know why I don't do fingernails. I do enjoy me some scissor hash now. That's one things I do enjoy about wet trimming. Is,
Oh yeah,
scissor hash. So
love me some scissor hash for sure. That's like a little bit of a taste of what's to come once that's done curing.
yeah. It's to me, I've always referred to that as like the grower's caviar. To be honest
Okay,
with you,
that's a good way to put it.
to me,
Yeah,
that's the best of the best.
I like to roll that up into a snake, put it into a joint. Some yummy scissor hash.
Oh yeah, even if after it dries out, and there's something still, about
Hmm.
that that's resin. I always
And when you're
keep
kind of
some of
trimming
the
different
shot
strains and you got
glass.
different resin mixed in,
I used to have
some yummy.
canvas leaf like storage thing. I used to use that just for my scissor hash. But I'd wait for that nice little container to get full.
Oh
Take a
wow,
look. I know
that's a
it's
good
closed,
idea.
and I just so good, so good.
Mm,
Just sprinkle that
yeah, I
occasionally
might
in
have to try that myself. Just kind of save it up. What do you like? Because you're perpetual growing, so you're just kind of saving it from each trim, kind of letting it cure in the jar, dry up.
there. Yeah,
That's crazy.
trying to
That's
see
got to
it.
be a hell of a cocktail.
I think it's closed. Yeah, it's like it's right there. Oh, I know it's actually got something in it. Ah,
Uh-oh, you better fix that.
this is it. This is my canvas leaf. Does have hash in there. Little scissor hash. You can actually
Oh
pull
shit.
too.
That's a crazy idea. That's
Nice.
actually pretty smart.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try that myself.
that's some good
You
smoking. I
know
actually
what you're
forgot I
grabbing.
had that in.
Just like a mystery. You better
I
leave that
haven't
on the
been
table.
that patient. I haven't been that patient. I actually forgot that was in there. I've been just like
Uh-oh.
at the end and smoking it as I go along. Oh, there's a nice ball. I want to throw that in a bowl. I haven't been as patient lately, I guess.
You gotta forget about it, I guess. Jesus, that's a good idea though. I'm gonna have to mix me some scissor hash. Call it the Eagles pot or something. Yeah,
Some
overall, I've
shit.
really enjoyed learning to grow, how to grow. I've enjoyed meeting the community and everything.
420 says fucking smoke that shit. Smoke that shit. Yeah, the community is
Oh,
amazing
somebody said
overall,
don't
man.
mix the new with old Eagle or you're risking mold. I don't know what that's about. I wouldn't think that scissor hash would have any way of mold or high enough moisture to grow anything.
Usually it doesn't. It's all from one trim usually.
Yeah, but even if I think it would just kind of dry out like hash and kind of just turn into that crumbly
Dries.
yummy.
Trichomes do dry fast. I mean, that stuff oxidizes
Yeah.
instantaneously. Chet's been firing all night long. So, where do you see yourself going in the cannabis community? Do you see yourself making videos long term?
Yeah, I would definitely like to do some YouTube, but on an outside of media platform, I definitely we all kind of have that dream of running that grow up and selling weed to dispensaries and really making a job out of it. I feel if you enjoy what you're doing, you're never going to work a day in your life. So that's kind of been my long-term passion goal, is to learn the craft and figure out what you got to do to kind of get the license to either like micro cultivate or on a large scale. I'd really like to get my foot in the door on the whole professional growing. But yeah, I'll continue to run a YouTube, even if I ended up opening a dispensary. Then or not a dispensary, but a grow up. That just gives me a larger scale to be more towards larger audiences. I love the whole YouTube community and the connecting and helping others. So I don't think I'll ever give that part up.
Well, I'm glad, that you take the time to help some others, that's people need help, and there should be some good quality videos out there. This community has
Yeah.
been amazing like that, with tips, and I can't say enough good things about the community. That's for sure. Uh,
But at the same
You're
time, I
now
kind
a
of agree
part of
with
it.
you. You're here every day. You kind of got to watch what you're saying or pushing. And I worry about that with videos. And I really haven't got any trolls yet that say, hey, you're stupid. Why are you doing that? But, I put it out there, put myself out there, let people make their opinions of what they're going to do.
They definitely, I've definitely had my fair share of trolls. That's
Not
for
yet.
sure.
Thank God.
You gotta keep your head up. You can't let other people spoil your career.
No,
Always gonna
I'm
be
still going to
supportive.
help people regardless what other people have to say about it. Like I said, I love that moment when people message you and say, hey, you recommended I did this. It worked out great. Or, you walked me through my first topping. And it sounds crazy, but I get to kind of live through them because I know what that was, your first topping, how exciting it was. And you see the new mains coming up and you start to understand how the branches work. And I know that whole kind of build up excitement. And I still get that to this day, learning new stuff from you or anybody else I'm talking to.
I'm still reading chat. Sorry.
No, read your chat. I'm watching your joint slowly burn. It's just chief and good.
So
Someone
they're
got
still
100
talking
acres.
about
They said,
the
geez,
stuff in there. There's
they're
there
still
is
talking about that.
yeah yeah. There's little pieces of stem in there. It's what you see.
Mhm.
Flat out. It wasn't leaves. It was pieces of stem. It is what it was. It was this shit. I don't even know how old it was.
See, I wouldn't be afraid of it being old. I think that's some flavor hiding in there.
I'm not smoking it with you, Michael P. So let's see here. What else do you like to do besides cannabis? Cheers, guys.
Like I said, cannabis kind of got me into the whole growing thing. So I've really been outside most of the last summer. And now that summer's coming again, I've been out there just building rose beds and flower beds and raised beds. And I actually use, because I'm soil, I don't reuse my soil. I know that's probably taboo for, some soil growers probably rebuffer it. But I take all my 5 gallon old soil and I dump it into all my flower beds. So after a while, I'm just building more beds and dumping more soil. But I think it's a great way to kind of recycle that old soil. So I definitely, my hobbies are, I owned a pizza shop 2 years ago, but I don't own a pizza shop anymore. I just kind of stay home and garden and, of course, grow my weed. But yeah, weed definitely got me addicted to gardening. I got to do that somehow in my professional career via cannabis flowers. It's definitely a strong passion.
So you ever thought about, taking your culinary skills and mixing them with your cannabis?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I know. I think New York City is a big city that's doing that. Right in the city, they have a lot of restaurants that are, putting CBD into their foods, and now New York becoming legal and everything. I think the culinary kind of field and everything will more introduced cannabis. That's definitely an interesting fact that will probably happen. Be able to order some like Big Mac with some THC in it or something. Call it like the mash kush or something. It'll get there. But it'd definitely be
Oh,
awesome to be able to go to McDonald's, get some fucking like some hemp fries or something.
so even like taking like the pizza thing, can't like say like a cannabis based sauce. That'd be pretty good. Pizza
Yeah,
sauce.
you could definitely integrate it into the sauce. Mess some people up. You sell a lot of
Good
pizzas
man.
that way. Sell a lot of them.
Get tore up like that, man. I can eat some pizza, man. I can almost eat a large pizza myself, man. Then toxic that thing up, man. Oof, I'd be tore
Get the
up, man.
monkey.
It's bad enough. Try to fall out after a good meal like that, man. You put some edible into that, I might be down for it,
Oh yeah, I'll eat some pizza with some edible in it, but like I said, edibles they kind of scare me. I hate that out of control feeling when it's like, okay, I'm high. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely high. And it's just a roller coaster feeling, that out of control feeling.
Had some. I've actually had like I've taken large enough dose to make it like a psychedelic experience, but it's accidentally taken there,
Accidentally.
but it accidentally. But I don't think I didn't find it to be a horrible time. That's what maybe I just because I woke up like that. Maybe I missed that.
You woke up fucking high as well.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, man. I didn't
Oh
even
wow.
see it coming. To be honest, I've said this story a while, man. It's one of my first butter making experiences. To be honest with you, it was mistake after mistake.
Oh yeah, you think
Making
you just put too much, huh?
oh, there was no think about it, man. I mean,
Oh
and
boy.
again, as I tell you this story, keep in mind this is all for myself. It wasn't for my patients or nothing like that. Because I can already see by the picking apart of the scissor hairs that I probably won't even smoke uh, so I make my butter, my first batches. And it comes time to strain out the sugar leaf, the trim from the butter. And I've got it in my cheesecloth. And it's cooled down to a workable temperature. And I go to, again, cheap guy I am. I know there's more in there. I know I didn't get it all out. Grab that fucking cheese, or grab that ball and just squeeze the shit out of it.
Yeah,
Try to
that
get
makes your butter
every
really
last
creamy.
drop out of it. Man, it's all running down my arms, between my fingers. No gloves.
Boy.
No gloves. You know what that oil's doing. Soaking right in. It was a nice strong batch. I ain't fucking around when I make butter either. I make it strong and then I cut it. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And so it tastes a little bit better. So you know what I mean? When you use the butter, it's more of a concentrate and it's less of a cannabis taste when you
Yeah, take some of
something
that
that.
plant matter taste out.
Yeah. So I make it strong. I like it strong. So okay. So I've done squeezed my ball out. It's already done ran down my arm, soaked in. Haven't even thought much about it. And then I made cookies. I decided I've got this butter. And it's full strength. I'm gonna make some full strength cookies.
Oh boy.
So I turn around, I mix up a batch of cookies, throw in some mint chips with cookies, chocolate chip, mint chip. They
Mm-hmm.
turn out, they taste like Girl Scout cookies, thin mint Girl Scout cookies.
Oh,
I
shit.
eat like a handful of them, fresh out of the oven. Fresh out of the oven. Probably got about 6 of them in.
Not even thinking, huh? Just
So,
shoving them
oh yeah, just shoving them in. And so then I sit down, smoke a joint. And I'm like, a little tired. A little nappy. I wake up a few hours later, and I am just completely just obliterated. Get up, I
in.
feel like my head's like 10 feet above my body. I've already got the permagrin fresh out of the bed.
Oh,
Decide I'm
shit.
gonna
That does
go
sound good.
do like the old alcoholic thing. I'm gonna take a shower, try to shake it off. Shower ended up being like a 45-minute, I don't know, laugh sesh.
It's fucking
Laugh
standing in for
sesh.
you.
Got some. Actually, what kicked it off for some reason was that scene in Young Guns where they fucking popped in my head where they're fucking all high in the peyote in the desert. Fucking seen that chick. I don't know why it popped in my head, but fucking had me cracking the fuck off. It just sparked off a fucking laughing session that went on for about, like I said, about 45 minutes, man. Just fucking beat on the wall, fucking laugh. You know what I mean? I'm like upstairs in 2-story house, people up coming from down. What the fuck are you laughing at? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah,
You
you
don't
try to
fucking know
fucking
what you're laughing
drag it out, man. I'm still kind of chuckling, man. That fucking permagrin lasted for about another good 4 hours, you
at.
know,
Oh,
just kind
wow.
of
It was
almost like
fucking
that
nice.
Beavis and Butthead attitude,
Yep.
all fucking day long. Yeah, it was
Wow,
very
man, that sounds
comparable
good.
to like a yeah, like a microdose or
Yeah.
psychedelic experience. I didn't find I wish I could kind of duplicate the recipe to be honest with you because
Really, you
it
can't
was kind of
duplicate, huh?
fun. I've never really tried to go down the rabbit hole that deep, and I don't,
Okay.
like I said, I don't know if maybe sleeping through that, maybe
Yeah.
peak. You know what I mean?
Yep. And
Because
then just
I
taking that
have
roller
seen it.
coaster.
Yeah, I've seen it
Hell
kind of
yeah.
go south on some people. Maybe I just slept through that south part, woke up on the downside. Hey!
Oh no, you gotta get ready to
Miss.
relax.
I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, it
See,
was
I feel like
definitely.
edibles affect people differently. I don't get that kind of experience. Maybe I just need to sleep through that overbearing part.
But that's the thing too. I think I've been on the record of saying this too because I've met a lot of people that say, "Hey, man, same edible, same by side. One person getting tore up. I didn't
Yep.
feel shit off that. Nowadays,
Hmm.
I back in the day, I'd be like, yeah. Nowadays, knowing what I know about cannabis, I almost think that as you ingest it, your body's dictating what comes next due to your health. You're in
Yeah.
perfect shape,
Some of it plays
health
mental
all
on you.
good. It's like enjoy it, man. All right, go have a laugh, you healthy fucker. You know what I mean? But if
Yeah.
there's like an underlining medical, you know, problem that you have, some pains, your back's tore up,
Yep.
your liver processes it different in my head. It's like, okay, we're going to use this for an anti-inflammatory, a little bit for pain. You're
That's
not
an
getting high
interesting
today, buddy.
kind
You're not getting high today. You're in pain. And so nowadays, when I talk to somebody and I see two people that are, one's like, hey, man, that shit fucked me up. And the other one's like, hey, man, I get high. I'm like, you might
yeah.
want to make a doctor's visit.
You might
little
want to get
checked
checked out.
out, man. Yeah, it
You
ain't the
know,
cannabis, man. It ain't the
damn,
cannabis.
that's an
You got an
interesting way to look
underlying
at it for
condition.
sure.
I don't know if it's true, but I that's my
Maybe,
hypothesis.
maybe. But I definitely appreciate you having me on the show and everything, and giving me an opportunity to get some more attention on such a young YouTube channel. I definitely like watching your lives, and I appreciate you having me on here and the opportunity to share my experience and wanting to help others. So I encourage everyone to hit subscribe on you, hit the like button, check out my channel, my Instagram,
What is that channel again? Both.
Hemp with
What is the
GG.
YouTube?
Hemp with
Both
GG
are?
on YouTube, Hemp with GG on Instagram. I'm over on Coco for Cannabis. Definitely join some challenges over there with me, Hemp with GG. You can even, if you just want some help with growing, you're welcome to email me, hempwithgg@gmail.com. I'm always around. Just, what I don't know, I can probably pass you on to somebody else that does. I appreciate all the people in chat. Definitely hit that like button on this video.
I have to agree with that. It's been a good night, great conversation with you, my friend. Hopefully, as you know, it sounds like you're somewhat of a fan of the show, or you
Yeah,
watch. I'm not going to say fan; it's a nasty word because you're a member of the community. If you watch, you're not a fan; you're a member of the community. Better said.
appreciate it.
So hopefully, you know what's coming next. What I'm about to say. Now that you've done the spotlight, this portion of it, you have an open invitation to the wormholes. So anytime that you feel like jumping in and contributing to the conversation in a positive, fun way, I feel like
Oh,
for
I
not for
appreciate
your
that.
sake, but you're always welcome. Don't feel like I've handed out this invitation so many times, and not everybody takes me up on it. I feel like I don't
Oh,
know.
I'd love to jump
They
into,
need a personal invitation. You don't need that. That's the thing that I need to make clear. You don't need the personal invitation. You actually have to go, hey, you need to jump on, man. It's an open
yeah,
invitation.
just,
It's an open invitation.
no, I like
So
it. Come in, bullshit, get some different opinions from different people. I always love talking to new people, meeting new people. How would I go about joining that? You just send out a link or something?
same link. It is the
Okay,
same
send
link
a
that
link.
you were sent tonight. Yep.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'll
So
definitely make sure I jump in there. And again, I appreciate the exposure. I'm a young YouTuber, and for you to message me and say, "Hey, I want to help you," that really says a lot about your character and the person you are and the kind of message you're trying to send on this channel. And I think together in the community, I'd love to be a part of the wormhole and meet these other amazing fellas.
right on. And the other thing I'd like to get from you before you go is that chorus, that soundbite, my friend. Mind giving me your soundbite for this episode again? This is 373. If you want to tack that on there somewhere.
What do you mean? Give my shout out just where you can find me and everything?
Ah,
Sorry, I don't
you
know what you're
don't
talking about.
know. You don't know Hemp with
I don't
Gigi.
know.
Must
I
not have
watched a few of
finished a
your
couple of
I watched a few of your
spotlights.
channels, but I don't know if I made it to the end of them.
Hmm, calling your bluff here, Hemp. Calling your bluff.
Uh-oh.
I'm
I
just
get a
messing
thumbs
with you.
down on that.
That
No, I watched your channel and you messaged me and said, go check out my channel, see what I'm
so
about. I skimmed through her.
actually, I'm surprised. I'm happy that you did that much because there's been a lot of times when I throw out that invitation and I don't. Sometimes the day of, it's like, what time are we doing this? And it's like the
I
same
put it on a
time.
calendar.
It's the
And
same
yeah, I
time.
checked out your videos, tried
Were,
to see
were
what you
you
were
one of
about.
those? Oh, I'm sorry if you were one of those. But it's more. I get a lot of that are like never don't even watch the show, don't even know what they're getting into until like the day of, like an
No, I
hour
watched you
before.
and then I seen Smiley sometimes actually hosts it as well.
Smiley kills it. Yeah, he does
I think
the,
his
the
name's Smiley.
organics takeover once in a while, and he most certainly has covered my ass in more than one episode, stepping in, making sure the
Okay, I
show
thought it was
goes
like a
on.
joint channel.
He does help out, man. I do definitely consider Smiley to be, a co-host nonetheless, at the least. If I were to have anybody, if I trust anybody with what goes on here, it's most definitely Mr. Smiley's cards. But this is what I'm looking for, Hemp with GG. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I
Okay,
get from all my guests. You are none the different. This
I
is
appreciate it.
basically the structure of the soundbite. Please make it your own. You can add, do whatever you want, personalize it. This is what you got to have in there. My words, not yours. Hey, this is Eagle, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 373. Now, you can put whatever you want before that as long as it says
So I'm
your
talking shit
name,
with. Oh, hold on, we
fucking
would be like
Talking Shit
7
with
joints in
Eagle
here. You gonna have to work with me.
episode. You can throw your Instagram on there, your YouTube. You can
Okay, so
shout out
it starts off
anybody.
with I'm Hemp with GG talking shit with Eagle and episode.
Fucking
See, I
talking
done
shit.
forgot.
But hopefully you won't leave that fucking out. Please don't leave the fucking
I'm
out.
gonna fuck it up. I don't even know what episode we on. I done forgot. 3 something.
373.
373. So this is Hemp with GG with talking shit with Eagle, episode 373. You can find me, Hemp with GG, on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. I'm helping new growers, trying to help everybody out. Make sure you check me out, Hemp with GG on YouTube. Cocoa for Cannabis, Hemp with GG. Thanks for checking out the Talking Shit with Eagle show. This is a great show, great conversation we had tonight. Lots of things to learn, and I appreciate being on here.
Perfect. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for your time, man. I kind of hinted that before the show, but time is precious, man. It gets faster and faster as we get older. And I thank you for giving me a nice chunk of yours tonight. So
Well, thank you
shout
for
out to you
having me.
for
I'll
that.
definitely jump in the hole sometime and chit chat with the other members. I appreciate the invite for sure.
Hell yeah. You have a great night, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
You too. Thank you.
Good night. Well, for the rest of you guys, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate you guys following along night after night. Hopefully, you enjoyed this fun episode. I know I have with a fellow content creator, Growing Hemp with GG. Go ahead and follow his channel, his new growing experience. He's sharing and learning along with you. Uh, Fun guy. I'd check it out myself. So those of you that want to follow over to the wormhole, get ready. We'll see you in a few. If those of you who don't, I greatly appreciate your time for hanging out this long. You guys have a great night. Please do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. See you guys in a few. I am